Welcome, everybody. It's here. The NFL draft is here, the 2022 NFL draft. Jonny, it feels like we've waited a long time for this, and it's here. Jonny, I'm excited to do the show with you again for the second year in a row. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
So we've been studying up. You've seen our mock drafts, and we're ready to see how wrong we are.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're never going to get a mock draft 100% correct or even close to that. I think I'm looking for and you can see the scoreboard down below. We're going to be keeping track of that the whole night. We will wager something. We don't know what yet. That's what we're waiting. And you guys can help us. It's one of the reasons why we're live streaming is so we can get your thoughts as we go through these picks. There's going to be obviously a lot of these picks. But yeah, we want to hear your thoughts. And yes, you can watch us keep track of our score over there. We need to wager something. Last year, we wagered canned Gatorade, which I still have not bought Jonny. I am actually the worst friend in the world. So Jonny, I promise I will do that. But if
hit them up in the chat, guys.
Yeah, that's right. But if you guys have thoughts on what we should wager, on what the winner wins or what the loser has to do, let us know. We're the ultimate, we get to pick, right? We get to pick what happens. But if we're accepting of your guys' ideas. But anyways, yeah, excited to get into it. So I know the draft starts at 8:00, and so here we are. But we're probably looking at the first pick in 20 minutes. Last year, I just remember we knew Trevor Lawrence going to the Jags, and so we were kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, trying to figure out what to do. It's not quite the same. It appears as though the pick will be Trayvon Walker from Georgia. But Jonny, that's kind of come out of nowhere in the last few days. I mean, your mock draft 3.0, you had him 28th.
Yeah. He is part of an all-time Georgia defense. And so one of the questions tonight, but more than tonight, really over the course of the 3 days of the draft is how many Georgia players get drafted? Specifically, how many Georgia defenders get drafted? You're kind of almost wondering who is on the two deep in that Georgia team that's going to all of a sudden come to the NFL and be, what on earth? How did this guy not see more time on the playing field? Because of that Georgia defense. It's going to look very similar to those early 2000 Miami teams, those USC defenses that you're like, oh my gosh, this guy barely even played and he's phenomenal and he's knocking it out of the park in the NFL now. I think we're going to see some of that with these Georgia defenders in the next few years. When it comes to Trayvon Walker specifically, he's a combine warrior, man. He looks great. Yeah. He looks the part of an edge rusher. The concern is production. 4 sacks in 3 years at Georgia. That's tough to look past. Now, he's only a 1-year starter. And in that Georgia defense, there's so much talent that you're in such a big rotation. You're not playing as much as you would, particularly if you're at, a lower level team that doesn't have as many 5-star recruits. The Georgia defense was absolutely loaded. So part of this is probably Trayvon Walker is hurt by the success of his own defense and his own team partially. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard to look through all of these things and just have a good grasp of, okay, I need to pair upside and potential and natural talent with production on the field. And so we're really looking at this debate right now where you kind of have Aiden Hutchinson, who's for me and Aaron, the number 2 pick. He was the number 1 pick for a lot of people for a long time. And he has all the production in the world, really. Yeah. Everything that you'd ask for out of an edge
17
rusher.
Sacks in the last 3 years or something, or maybe 2 years. Something crazy. Yeah.
But the concern is how close is Aiden to just his full potential, to his ceiling? Mm-hmm. Can he actually get a lot better? He's definitely the safer pick, I would say, in my mind, in most experts' minds. Not that I'm an expert by any means. But he might be what he is. But on the other side of things, Trayvon Walker, based on his physical traits, could be the moon.
Yeah.
That's the big debate today. And it's between two franchises, no offense, Aaron,
No,
that
I'm
haven't done the best in a lot of their drafts. So it's also hard to actually
agreed.
trust them and be
Yeah.
like, oh, just because the Jags are taking Trayvon Walker first, he's definitely the best player in the draft. I actually would say probably neither one of these players is probably the best player in the draft, but they're at positions of need
Yeah.
that a lot of teams really, really want. Pass rushers big time. But Aaron, what are your thoughts on Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, or if somebody else really should be number one?
I do think Hutchinson probably should go first. And that's saying
I
something
agree.
coming from us as Buckeye fans. I don't really want to admit that, but I was fortunately, because it was cool to be there, but I was at the Big House for the Michigan-Ohio State game. I saw what he did to Ohio State and what he did to teams all year long. And again, yes, on one hand, Trayvon Walker maybe didn't have the gaudy numbers because of who he played with. But there's also, on the other side, the flip side, the other side of the coin, if you will, is Trayvon Walker in this position because he was covered up by such good defenders that he also looked like a good defender?
Exactly.
So, and I don't know which one it is, quite frankly, because I think he surged so late that I wasn't really paying attention throughout the season, and I don't think a lot of people were, unless you're going back and watching film on him in preparation for this draft. So I don't know. To me, Hutchinson's the safe bet. And still has maybe as high of a ceiling as Trayvon Walker does. I was talking to a friend who said maybe TJ Watt is a good ceiling. If that's the ceiling for Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions get that at some point, I'm going to be pretty thrilled. I'm going to be pretty thrilled with that. Danielle said, by the way, in terms of our wager, we should wager a Chick-fil-A milkshake. And that's obviously a jab at Jonny, who is boycotting their milkshakes for making them all smalls, but making them the price of larges. So that's a good offer. We'll take that into consideration as we go. And by the way, thank you to all of you that have joined the stream. It's good to see all of you here. Again, as I mentioned at the very top of the show, the idea is to get kind of your feedback, your thoughts live. Of course, obviously we're kind of killing time before these picks actually start rolling in, but we do have, and one other thing I should just administrative note, Jonny and I are following the draft. We've got windows open on YouTube TV, which is usually 20 to 30 seconds delayed from television. In addition, the stream from us to you is delayed by about 10 seconds. So there will be, if you're watching just on your television and you've got us pulled up next to you, again, thank you for doing that. But there will be probably a 30 to 40 second delay. So just so you're aware of that. But I do believe Roger Goodell's officially kicking off this NFL draft.
Yeah. It'll take him a sec.
It will take him a sec.
He'll thank Las Vegas for hosting. Looks like they're doing a great job hosting. Looks like a beautiful day there. Aaron, if I could just, right before we start, I'd actually say if the Jaguars were smart, and I know they just re-signed their left tackle, I think actually the pick here, if I were the Jaguars, which I'm not, would actually be Evan Neal.
Agreed.
To fix the O-line, make sure Trevor Lawrence is protected. That's what they should do. They won't. Just to be clear, me and Aaron both have Trayvon Walker. Me and Aaron's mock drafts are predicting what we think will happen, not what we think they should do.
That's a good point.
It's very, if you want me to see what I think teams should do, go back and look at my mock draft 3.0. That is much closer to what I think teams should actually be doing reasonably.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, if we get a correct pick, so again, Jonny and I both have Trayvon Walker, defensive end from Georgia, going first to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if we're correct, then we'll each get a point, and you'll see that kind of a bottom screen there. And then obviously we'll keep track of picks, and you can see records and all that. Jonny, let's talk about the Jags just for a second. We talked about Trayvon Walker. We talked about who the Jags could pick, but let's just talk about them as a team. And we'll be talking about them, a couple times throughout the night, perhaps. They've got 12 picks in this NFL draft. They've got the first.
They need everyone.
And they need everyone. You're absolutely right. Obviously, they had the first pick last year, and Trevor Lawrence, Clemson quarterback. They picked up Clemson's running back, Travis Etienne, which we thought maybe a stretch, but you're like, okay. I mean, you kind of get it. Urban Meyer's trying to put together Lawrence and Etienne, kind of that battery out of the backfield for Clemson. And then Etienne played all of 0 minutes, I believe. Had an ACL or what, I can't remember. I believe it was an ACL injury. So it didn't really work out.
Not his fault.
No, not his fault. But I think looking back, obviously Trevor Lawrence, I think that's going to do well as long as the Jaguars can support him. But yeah, I think that's the story, right? 12 draft picks. And you're right. They need every one. Jonny, they're in a bad division. It's got to be better than it was last year, right? It can't be 3-14 again, can it? Please tell me
It
no.
it can't be, and a lot of that's off the field. Like, let's
Mhm.
talk about that really, like,
Yeah, sure.
and be honest.
Yeah.
It's a young team. And Urban Meyer's off the field antics, even starting with just bringing
Yeah.
Tim Tebow to camp, it was always a distraction. And Urban really needed to sell NFL personnel that he could actually exist really, really well in the collegiate realm. I mean, in the NFL realm, moving from the college into that. And he completely botched that. He was showing favoritism to so many different players.
Yeah.
The off the field drama was just too much, clearly just not made for the professional realm there. And so I think that really affected, especially a young team that is learning and needed a lot of guidance and leadership. And but at the same time, beating the Colts that last game of the year has to be a huge energy boost going
Mhm.
into the next season when you know that knocked the Colts out of the playoffs. That has to be big time. Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence showed the flashes that you hoped he would. I I think if you get in there, I think the Jags can be absolutely much better. I know the AFC is totally loaded, but like you said, Aaron, that division is a mess. The Texans will be bad. I think the Titans are very, very vulnerable. I know they're the 1 seed, but they're extremely vulnerable because they're average at quarterback. And like I like Ryan Tannehill, but I don't love Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And the Colts, where they're sitting, like it's okay with Matt Ryan. They probably would be my pick to win the division right now. But the Jaguars have no reason not to take a leap and get closer to 500 this year. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no excuse for that. You need to be better than the Texans, and you should be competitive and win a couple games against the Colts and the Titans. You should be able to split those this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting playoffs for the Jaguars, but you need to see improvement in the step. Part of that is just surrounding what you said, Trevor Lawrence, with help. Now, ironically, I would actually say most of their issues are on the defensive side of the ball.
Correct.
They're not protecting Trevor Lawrence very well, but their wide receiver room isn't awful. They don't have any elite players there, but it's not horrible. I think their focus in this draft really needs to be on protecting Trevor Lawrence and upgrading that defense. Wide receivers, you'll figure it out. I just don't think that's the most important piece right now, just because they're not in a position to get an elite wide receiver. So, because of that, I'd really go heavy on O line and I'd get that defense fixed.
Mhm.
So, they're clearly hoping Trayvon Walker is going to help be a big piece of getting that defense fixed and getting to the quarterback.
Well,
So,
here's a good number
we'll
for you.
see.
Here's some stats to back up everything you just said. The Jaguars had the 5th fewest sacks in the NFL in 2021. So not good.
Mhm.
That's 28th. Not very good. At the same time, Trevor Lawrence sacked 32 times in his rookie season. I know that sounds not very many times if you consider Joe Burrow, but just remember that Joe Burrow's sack numbers were almost historically horrible. 32 times, just for everyone's just general knowledge,
Still really bad.
still really bad. Jacksonville did sign offensive tackle Brandon Sheriff in the offseason, but you're right. They do need to still bolster their offensive line. And I mean, you're right. I agree with what you said too, just as far as looking ahead to the future. I don't think they're going to be 3-14 again. I mean, this is already the second year in a row that they've got the number 1 overall pick. And we'll see. I don't know. Doug Peterson's a coach that has had plenty of experience. I don't know if that'll help. It certainly can't be worse than what happened with Urban Meyer, right? That was
Right.
ended up being a dumpster fire start to finish. So it's got to go up. I feel like it has to. And that's
Yeah.
even coming from me, a Lions fan, where you think it has to go up and it just stays down. But you're right.
I think he'll bring stability. He's a
Yes, I
Super
agree.
Bowl winning coach. I think it got ugly in Philly just between him and the front office late, and that just kind of started to show itself on the field. I still think he was fired prematurely for what it's worth. I think he'll bring good stability to a franchise who desperately needs it. And you saw him develop Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz looked great with Doug Peterson early on.
Nick
Doug
Foles
Peterson
looked good
made
at
Nick
times.
Foles look well.
Yeah.
So, we're looking at a guy that I think is a great idea to have him with Trevor Lawrence. I think he has the ability to develop him in a weaker division. He has the potential to be the best quarterback in that division. Why not? In a division that you have Matt Ryan, Davis Mills, and Ryan Tannehill,
Yeah.
I'm not expecting him to be better than Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill this year, but why not in a couple years? Year 3, I want to see a jump here, and then we could see a leap in year 3, and he could easily be the best quarterback in that division. I don't see any reason why that can't be the case. in a division with very mediocre quarterback talent, honestly.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Real quick, number one, thank you guys for being here again. Really appreciate it. Jonny and I have been looking forward to this a long time, and we will be here with you for the full first round because unlike last year, I was trying to stream with my laptop that was actively dying the entire stream. Not this year. We've got a nice PC that's going to get us all the way through. So anyways, Brandon, thanks for being here. He says, fly, Eagles, fly. Thanks for some entertainment on my 15-hour drive. Oof. Happy to help. Like I said, we will be here
15 hours.
15 hours.
Ooh.
We're not going to be here that long. We're hoping to wrap this up in like 4 hours, but we will be here for the whole first round, walking through every pick with you. And we will be having special guests. We've got a bunch of guests lined up who are going to be talking about their respective teams. So make sure you stick around for that. So 2 things real quick for you guys, the viewers. Number one, let's see. Number one, oh yeah, if you wouldn't mind liking the stream, there's a little thumbs up down here-ish. That would go a long way. That would help us a lot. I appreciate you guys doing that. Number 2, if you see pinned to the top of the chat, hopefully you guys can see that there is a thing that says like stream elements with a link. We are doing a 5th and Goal t-shirt giveaway tonight. So feel free to click on that link. It's obviously free to enter, and we'll announce that the winner at some point on this stream. So yeah, click on that link. It should take you to a Google form. Literally, you just need to type your name in, hit send, and then you'll be entered in that giveaway to win a t-shirt. And it is very comfortable. I can confirm. So anyways, all right. I think that covers all the kind of administrative stuff for the stream. I'll probably bring that up a couple more times as people start filtering through. So we do see that the pick is in. Again, that means that we've probably got a 5-minute process of the commissioner getting the card of the name that we probably already know. But that's
Dragging
okay.
it out, man.
They do drag it out. Like we said, this is honestly, doing this last year, I didn't feel like we really had to kill a bunch of time except at the beginning. And it was worse last year because you really knew. This year, we think we know. We do think it's Trayvon Walker, again, Georgia defensive end. And you're right, kind of I'm not going to say a product of the combine because I think that probably diminishes a little bit of what he did.
Partly.
But it is partly because, people fell in love with what he did in the combine. Obviously, extremely explosive, versatile playmaker. There was times, again, he's lined up as a defensive end, but there was times he would even fall back into coverage sometimes. And there was like one play he had a pass deflection and everyone lost their minds, which rightfully so. It's a, defensive end falling into pass coverage. It's pretty amazing. But there is a lot of athletic upside, and I think that's the big reason why he's number 1, and the combine showed that.
And if we're right at the number 1 pick, I guarantee you we know the second one.
Yes.
So if Trayvon Walker goes number 1, I guarantee everything basically that the Lions are taking Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to sprint up to the podium.
Yeah, right behind
security will tell them, you must wait. We are dragging this out for another television commercial.
That's right.
You can't do this yet. But if the Lions could, they would shout from their position that they will take Aiden Hutchinson. That will be a guarantee.
We could save ourselves 10 minutes doing that. All right, the commissioner is up at the podium. And again,
wonderful.
If you're watching on your TV, you've got us pulled up. There will probably be a delay, so you probably will see us reacting to the pick after you already know. The pick is in. It is Trayvon Walker from Georgia. So Jonny, points to both of us, and we're underway. We're officially, we're really underway now. We've got a pick. And it is Trayvon Walker, defensive end, and no surprise,
Amazing.
Even though we would have been shocked a week ago, and it's been that quick. His surge from 20s to number 1 has taken a week. It's crazy.
Literally a week.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, hey, let's hope that we're right. That's the great thing about the draft is that every team is hypothetically getting better. You're adding young talent onto your team. Let's hope that, he had some of his potential playmaking ability basically limited because of his teammates being so great. He didn't have to fill in a lot of gaps and a lot of missing plays for his teammates because they were making them. Yep. He had some great interior defensive linemen with him. I mean, just some fantastic players like Jordan Davis we're going to see tonight as well that he'll have. Maybe we see Nakobe Dean. I think he'll probably go tonight. They're a fantastic linebacker. Personally, I think Darion Kendrick should probably be going tonight too. He probably won't. He's probably a 2nd-round pick. Those linebackers for Georgia were nasty. They were the ones who jumped off the page to me. So while I still have doubts that he was even the best defensive player out of Georgia, hey, it was such a good defense. He very well could have been hidden. So we'll see. We'll
see.
see if he can fit. It's in the same geographic footprint, which usually is helpful. Teams do love to do that when they can have those two tied in together. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think Trayvon Walker certainly meets a need, though, like you mentioned, Aaron. The sack production out of Jacksonville was quite poor last year.
Yeah, again, 5th worst in the league. All right, they're not exactly spreading on stage, but the Lions have put the pick in already. So we knew this was going to happen, right? Again, Jonny and I, we both have Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive end from Michigan. And look, obviously, it's a little weird for me being a Detroit Lions fan and an Ohio State fan, right? Like some mixed emotions. But I'm going to try to get past the part where he was a Michigan guy. Now he's going to be a Detroit Lion, and it's a perfect fit, right? You've got the Michigan connection. Everything about him seems like it's just perfectly fits with Detroit, right? He has the work ethic. He has that grit, determination that he demonstrated at Michigan for the last 2 or 3 years. So I think it's pretty clear. Hutchinson's going to be the pick. I think Lions fans, I know I'm very excited to get him because I think there would have been a difficult discussion at number 2 if Hutchinson would have gone first. Because yes, Trayvon Walker was in the mix, but I don't think, I think Kayvon Thibodeau would have been in the mix. Probably not Evan Neal because the Lions need help just about everywhere. But offensive lines,
maybe even Gardner.
Well, right, yeah,
Gardner
even
maybe
Gardner,
even at 2.
Yep. But that discussion's not happening because it's going to be pretty obvious. And then that discussion,
the Jags made it easy on him.
Jags made it really easy. So that's going to be the pick. And then we're going to get into some of that, where do those players go? The players being projected top 10. So you're right. Ahmad Gardner, cornerback from Cincinnati. Evan Neal, tackle from Alabama. Kayvon Thibodeau, who early and even throughout the college football season, it was kind of pointed at that, hey, he's the number 1 guy in the draft. And then the questions came up. What is his work ethic like? And we'll get into that when his name comes up and when those teams make that spot. But the commissioner is going to make this pick. I will say Detroit, they've got the 2nd pick in the draft. They also have the very last pick of the night. They've got pick 32. It's one of 8. They picked Penei Sewell 7th last year, and it is Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan going to Detroit. And that was probably the easiest 2 points we're going to get the whole night. I know it will be.
It might be the only 2 points we get tonight, Aaron. So after this, we start diverging a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the Detroit Lions because depending on what happens with the quarterback situation the rest of the round, it could get very interesting because if there's, say, a Kenny Pickett that's left at pick 32, what will the Lions do? Yes, they have Jared Goff, but here's the thing, and again, we'll touch on this later. Jared Goff would be owed $30.65 million in 2023, but he's only currently guaranteed $10 million. So part of that's just his play, which what is he supposed to do with that Lions roster, to be fair? But it's a financial decision, and so the question is, do you try to find a guy now, even though, and we'll get into all of this, but for now, it's Aiden Hutchinson, and that's the 2nd pick in the draft. And we're 2 for 2 right now, Jonny. We're tied 2 for 2.
It's a home run pick for the Lions.
Yes.
He's from Michigan. He played for Michigan. At this point, ending that streak against Ohio State, he'll be a folk hero, basically.
Yeah,
he's never going to have to, pay for anything in that state ever again for his entire life. He's a pass rusher that they desperately need. It fits a need. It's basically like the same as Joe Burrow going to the Bengals a couple years ago. He's needed as a quarterback. He's from there. He wants to be there. It just is perfect. Sometimes don't overthink the room. Who you need and what makes sense, pick him. Make it easy. So that's great for Detroit. Really, really happy for them. What you mentioned, Aaron, that's really the big thing for Detroit. They need to be thinking into the future and building up this roster. Yeah. Building up the roster for that future quarterback. And I know no coach is going to say this, no player is going to say this. The Lions still aren't going to be very good this year. No. You hope that they win some more games, but they're not going to be good. They're not going to be competing for a playoff spot. You hope that win total can perhaps double. You'd love 6 wins. 6 or 7 wins would be great. The division's not good, so it's possible. Why not? But you're really trying to just build up that roster for next year when Jared Goff is very tradable. You're even able really to cut him if you even need to save some money or use him as your bridge. We're going to keep you as a bridge.
Yep.
And hopefully they're in the range for those quarterbacks next year. We're probably going to talk about these quarterbacks a little bit tonight too. And I know we're projecting a year in advance, but CJ Stroud from Ohio State, Bryce Young from Alabama, and I'm sure there will be a third quarterback that comes out of nowhere because there always is. So there's going to be probably 3 really, really elite top tier quarterbacks early in the draft next year. It's going to kind of balance based on this year's lack of quarterbacks. So if you're the Lions, you're going to really, really be hoping that you're in the market for those guys, that you're close enough that you either can just pick them or you can trade into them by moving up just a few spots. Build up that roster.
Yeah.
Get the offensive line ready. It's actually a pretty decent offensive line already. Get another weapon on the outside at wide receiver. Build up the defense. The defense is really, really rough right now, especially in the secondary.
It was
They fixed the
bad.
pass rush a little bit. That secondary is still a problem, so hopefully they address that later tonight too.
Yeah, I mean, it was historically bad defense. The needs I've got, in no particular order, I've got quarterback, defensive end, safety, running back, wide receiver, tight end. But you could really just put the entire defense. So it's really defense and skill players. And to a certain extent, that's kind of the theme for every team, right? Like that's kind of your bread and butter, what you're looking for in the draft. As much as I want to see someone like Matt Ariza, punter from San Diego State, I'm going to have to wait a couple days on that. The punt god, right? It's a fun story, but we're here in the first round where you're just trying to get the best available player. And in this case, the best available player was also the perfect fit for Detroit. So we'll see. I think the ceiling is there, right? I think because this defense is so bad, and I'm not expecting them to be too much better next year, I'm not expecting Hutchinson, and I hope I'm wrong, obviously, as a Lions fan. I'm not expecting Hutchinson to come in and like compete for Defensive Player of the Year. I just want to see a solid season out of him because I think there's a good chance that if he's any good at all, he's going to get double teamed and all those things because that Lions defense is bad. Hope I'm wrong. We need to transition to the Houston Texans. The pick is in. We are on pick number 3. Jonny, you and I both have Evan Neal, Alabama offensive tackle. And if that's the pick, then it's an interesting conversation to have because he is quite literally a mammoth. We'll see if that's what Houston does. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson era officially over. Davis Mills is the guy for now. And Houston has 11 picks, so they need them all. It's the same story as with Jacksonville. They need them all.
I understand from Houston's standpoint, actually backing up Davis Mills and kind of going with him right now. Do I actually think he's a starter in the NFL? Probably not. Yeah. But you have so many holes on that roster. Why not give him a shot? Allow him to have that opportunity. They're already basically shopping Laramie Tunsil, their left tackle. That's kind of where I'm seeing Evan Neal go. Yeah. Maybe even just plays right tackle for now. But they're shopping Laramie Tunsil. He's a big cap hit. Teams always want a left tackle, always want another offensive lineman. They probably can shop him. Oh, wow.
They went Derek Stingley. Interesting.
Derek Stingley, and we are already way off.
The perfect mock draft. Burn him, Jonny. The perfect mock draft is done. Interesting.
Wow.
I heard rumors today. So this is the interesting thing, right? Jonny, you and I made our mock drafts, but we made our final mock drafts yesterday. And I felt like there was a lot of news that, and as it happens, especially this draft, it's so chaotic. No one really knows who's going where. And I think you hear that from just about every expert. This is a great example why. And we'll talk about him in just a second. But yeah,
I'm
some of the rumors were that he might be picked up third. I'm even trying to figure out how far down we had Derek Stingley. I had him.
I have him at 11.
I had him at 12. That just goes to show you, man, that's crazy. So it's notable that he went over Ahmad Gardner, who we both had as the first cornerback. It is Derek Stingley. It's also interesting that we haven't seen super notable play out of him since like 2019.
Right. Now, if you would have told me this in 2019, Derek Stingley got drafted third overall, I would have said, of course he did.
Yeah.
He looked like the best corner in college his very first year, his freshman year, when LSU won the national title. Now he's surrounded by a million good players on that national title team, as you've been able to see Burrow and Chase and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a variety of fantastic. Justin Jefferson was on that team and so many good players on that LSU national title team. The confusing thing here to me is, wow, you picked him above Ahmad Gardner. And the last 2 years since that 2019 campaign for him, Derek Stingley has looked quite pedestrian, honestly. He has been chewed up in the SEC against some of those wide receivers. Now, most of those wide receivers are in the NFL right now. Sure. It's not like he lost to a bunch of scrubs, But Derek Stingley hasn't looked himself. Now, I know he had a Liz Frank injury last year, and of course, that's going to hamper anyone, having a broken foot, basically. I'm just a little surprised. At the same time, I don't expect anything else from the Houston Texans to take a gigantic swing, and hopefully not a miss, but we will see.
Jonny,
Ahmad Gardner was really the consensus number one corner. So this is going against the grain a little bit. That doesn't mean you're always wrong, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, Michael said it. Stingley at 3 with 3 question marks. Agreed. It would not. We had him outside the top 10. Again, it's one of those things where the ceiling is there, but man, I don't know. And you're right, Jonny. Houston doesn't have a great track record. They had no first or second round picks as part of the 2019 trade package with Miami for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills.
And they're looking to trade Laramie Tunsil right now.
Correct.
And they're not going to get the same package for him.
Mm-hmm. Now, right. We'll come back to Houston relatively quickly. They've got the 13th pick, and that was from the Cleveland Browns. That was part of that Deshaun Watson trade. We need to talk about the Jets because they're up next here in like 4 minutes. But even the way that Deshaun Watson trade was handled, they basically just were stubborn and said, we're not trading him for a year, and could have made it probably could have got so much more for him. And they did decent. I think they did okay in what they got back from that Cleveland. But oh my gosh, you're talking about significantly more if they were, just had some common sense. But we'll see. It's one of those things. Yeah, they need all the help they can get. They were 4-13 last year. I've got some of the needs. Defensive back was not one of them. Not saying that they don't need defensive back, but there's probably some other needs that they need more. I would say offensive tackle being one of them. Even defensive end, there's still some talent there.
Truthfully, Aaron, I was looking at defensive back really at pick 13 for them.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. In my mock at 13, I actually have them taking Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame safety. It's certainly a need. And I thought at 13 that getting Kyle Hamilton would have been a steal for Houston. At that point, he's clearly the best player left on the draft board. I'm just a little surprised here. That might honestly change even what I'm expecting at 4 with the Jets. I have Ahmad Gardner going there. I probably have a hard time seeing back-to-back corners in the top 4.
We'll see.
Crazier things have happened.
Yep.
The Jets might be wiping their brows like, oh, they didn't take the corner that we actually wanted. But I also wouldn't be surprised if actually they took Evan Neal at this point. They took Evan Neal or even Ikem Ekwonu, NC State's left tackle as well. There's been a lot of discussion who's the best tackle in the draft as well. So don't be surprised if we're seeing one of those offensive linemen.
I've got Thibodeau just to sneak it in point. Before this pick is announced. I've got Thibodeau. Okay. So we'll see. Yeah. I know Thibodeau has been sinking down draft boards again to what we mentioned a few minutes earlier. A little bit of concerns with his motor things. And look, if I'm being honest, I thought that those things could be ironed out a little bit. The Jets, maybe not the best place to get that ironed out. As you can see, if you're watching the ESPN broadcast, they just mentioned the Jets and Giants, 22-59, both of their records in the last 5 years. That's both worst in the NFL. But 4 of the top 10 picks, including this pick, number 4, the pick that's in for the Jets, are in the top 10. So we'll see whether that means they draft, whether the Jets and Giants use all of their picks, if they use it to slide back. If there's any teams that are willing to come up, I think that's another story that we've talked about before. There's plenty of teams willing to go down. How many teams are willing to go up in the draft? We'll see. But the Jets on the clock now with 9 picks, again, the 4th and 10th pick. And they've also got a couple high second rounders. They've got the 3rd and the 6th pick of the second round. So they've got 4 of the top 40. Will they use all 4 of those? If you're the Jets, you've got roster spots available for all 4 of those. We'll see. And that obviously pairs with Zach Wilson, and they got an offensive lineman and Elijah Vera Tucker from USC last year with the 2nd and 14th picks respectively there. So as the New York Jets fans sit and wait on this pick to come in, I've got Kayvon Thibodeau. Johnny's got Ahmad Gardner. So our first disagreement of many more to come. We'll see. So we'll see where the scoreboard gets interesting.
Yeah. And the Jets are one of those teams, I'd put them similarly to Jacksonville, although the Jets have Buffalo in their division, who's clearly the best team. The rest of the division's quite vulnerable. This is the time to build up around Zach Wilson, see if he's really your quarterback of the future. Give him a fighting chance. Give
Yeah.
him a weapon. Give him some protection. Get that defense better.
Yeah. Well, you would think this pick would
Ahmad
do.
Gardner
Oh, they
is the
did. They did pick
pick.
cornerbacks.
All right. So I did get one right there.
You did, dang.
Back-to-back
All right.
corners, 3 and 4. The Jets had to be wiping their brows there a little bit
Yeah.
when they saw corner.
Wow.
So they still probably get the guy they wanted there at
That's
4.
crazy. Yeah.
Is what I would assume, is that they probably had Ahmad Gardner as their top-rated player. And we're looking at Robert Saleh, defensive-minded coach, maybe getting the best defensive player in the draft.
Jonny, this might be the best stat I've heard in a long time. Ahmad Gardner, nickname is Sauce, first of all, tremendous nickname, and this is why it's so well deserved. His quarterback rating against was something like 23, or I don't know the exact number. It doesn't matter. It was very low. Basically, what it means is that a quarterback would be better off throwing the ball into the turf than throwing it in the general direction of Ahmad Gardner. He never gave up a touchdown in his career, and he was a starter as a freshman. Never gave up a touchdown. This year, his senior year, gave up about 137 yards to his opponents, and that was like something on like 7 catches. It was crazy. I mean, they turned Jamison Williams, the combination of him and Kobe Bryant, they turned Jamison Williams into the equivalent of a possession receiver. Like, yeah, Williams, still had 8 or 9 catches, but it was for like 50 yards. They relatively held him in check when no SEC defense could find a way to do that. So he is the real deal. I'm with you. I'm shocked that he got passed over, that it was Stingley that went first over Ahmad Gardner. That's crazy to me. It's crazy, but I think it's a good pickup for the Jets. I'd really do.
Nick Saban admitted after the semifinal game, Alabama and Cincinnati, we didn't even game plan to throw it at him. They basically told Bryce Young to not throw it at Sauce Gardner in that semifinal. Nick Saban knows his defensive backs. That is his origins. He knows his defensive backs. Nick Saban saying that is some high praise. I truly think he could be the best defensive, if not the best overall player in this entire draft. I think it's a great pickup for the Jets. Their secondary is quite poor. He's just best available in my mind. Yeah. So I think the Jets did a fantastic job taking Ahmad Gardner. He's that big, long, rangy corner that can really pack a punch and hit. Like you said, Aaron, Jamison Williams did nothing against him. And Jamison Williams is probably going to hear his name tonight too. Oh, yeah. So what you do against other first-round picks and other NFL talent really, really matters. He earned himself a lot of money and probably moved up the draft board a lot, despite Cincinnati losing that semifinal game.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So the Giants, they're on the clock. Just real quick to give you our picks. I've got Akeem Akwonu from North Carolina State, the offensive tackle. This is where, Jonny, you've got Kayvon Thibodeau. Obviously, I had Kayvon Thibodeau going 4th, so I think it could be expected here as well. And that's the question, right? Daniel Jones, they declined his player option today. So he's going to be a free agent after the 2022 season. Probably doesn't mean a lot for this pick coming up. But again, this is a team with the 5th pick and the 7th pick in the first round. They've also got the 4th pick in the second round. So some of these kind of fringe quarterbacks, those top picks in the second round are very interesting. Obviously, we're just mostly focused on the first round. But real quick, before we get to that, Michael's got a good question. He says, you think we will see a draft day trade with Deebo Samuels, maybe to Jets for 10th overall and a future pick? And I think that also potentially applies to the Giants, considering they've also got 2 first-round picks in the top 10.
Yeah, I think if Deebo's getting traded tonight, unless we see a team swoop in at the last minute, it's probably going to be the Jets. It was always probably going to be that 10th overall pick. Yep. It's probably going to be additional picks tomorrow as well, probably 2nd or 3rd round, based on what we saw in the Tyreek Hill trade, Devontae Adams trade. That's what it takes anymore. Not even just a first-round pick. It's probably going to take an additional 2nd or 3rd at a minimum. If you're the Jets, you have to think through your cap space there. But I'm sure the 49ers, if they are going to trade Deebo Samuel at all, it will happen tonight because they are going to want a return immediately so that they can draft playmakers and use them this season. You're not going to make a trade in a week and have to wait a whole year to use those draft picks. If the 49ers are trading Deebo Samuel, it will be tonight. And it will probably be the New York Jets. The Giants, while they have 2 picks, they have the most expensive wide receiver room already in the league. you're probably not going to trade for Deebo Samuel and pay him a bunch of money, because whoever trades for him will have to sign him for a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
But based on the Giants pick right here, pass rusher. Since Jason
Could be
Pierre-Paul
five defensive players of the first five. That'd be pretty crazy.
Since Jason Pierre-Paul left New York, they have no pass rush. It's a huge issue. But the other issue for New York is a terrible offensive line. So I would not be shocked seeing Evan Neal here, Okwonu here as well. I really had a hard time at this pick anyway beforehand. Expect tackle or Thibodeau here. I'd be really, really surprised if we saw obviously a third corner in a row or even a wide receiver. Those would be quite shocking to me. I'm really going to say it's probably one of those three players for sure.
Yeah.
Easy to hedge my bets with three guys, but they really need a pass rush and they really need to protect their guy. I don't even think Daniel Jones is their guy.
No, he's not.
And I think if it was a better quarterback draft, they probably would be looking at taking one, and they still might in later rounds.
Later rounds, or if there's a team that's willing to, slide up, we'll see. So Giants pick is in. Jonny, you've managed to get like 3 seconds ahead of me and your live stream of this, so you can just keep calling them out.
Okay.
As far as what the pick is, obviously Goodell is introducing someone who's going to then introduce the pick, but
right.
Should be. I mean, five defensive players in the first 5 picks.
Hey, I love.
I don't know
that.
when, if ever, that has happened. I'm sure we'll hear.
Where's Josh?
Yeah, I know. Seriously. While we're waiting on this pick, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Again, that top link that's pinned to the top of the chat for you guys watching on YouTube. Appreciate you guys being here. That is a giveaway to a 5th and Goal t-shirt. So if you want to join that giveaway, you literally just click that link, enter your name, and you're entered in, and we'll be giving that shirt away here probably a little bit later, probably in like the 10 to we'll see. We'll give it some time, but at some point tonight we will be doing that. Maybe I'll give it time. We'll say 10 o'clock. We'll do the giveaway at 10 o'clock. So make sure you're here at 10 o'clock. But yeah, you can click that link. So this, I will say this.
Remember, the Giants have 5th and the 7th pick as well. So
Yes,
we're going to have a lot of New York Giants here right in a row.
Yep, you've got a new
And
head coach.
it is Thibodeau.
All right. Dang, Jonny.
On a hot streak.
Oh, no.
Thibodeau.
All right.
Thibodeau is the pick there at number 5. And like I said, with the Giants, since Jason Pierre-Paul left, he's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. They didn't pay him after that very infamous firework incident. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Don't mess around with fireworks at home, kids. And especially don't mess around with fireworks if your hands are part of the reason that you're about to get paid generational wealth. Correct. Don't do that. That's not smart. Anyway, Kayvon Thibodeau was a menace at Oregon. He was a fantastic game wrecker, Oregon defensive end. He really upgrades that Giants defensive line. Certainly, this also makes me feel a little bit like they are thinking to the future and past Daniel Jones a little bit, at least at the GM and coaches level.
Yeah.
So
and
we'll see
GM,
here what they do at
coach.
7.
Yeah, and that's
Ryan
Daboll.
Daboll.
Yeah, Brian Daboll joins GM John
Daboll.
Schoen. Yeah, that's interesting. So we have seen 5 straight defensive players taken in this NFL draft, and again, Giants are right up after this Carolina pick. Carolina is picking 6th. So we'll come back to the Giants conversation because again, they're going to be right back on the clock, assuming they hang on to that pick. So Carolina is up at number 6. Originally, again, we had our final mock drafts. We kind of had to have them out a couple days ago just to get them up on all of our different social media platforms. In the last 2 days, it appeared though that like the percentage of Carolina drafting quarterback Malik Willis from Liberty was like 70-30. And then you hear this morning the percentage chance was like 10%. So we'll see. We both have Malik Willis. It sounds like we're both going to be wrong. We'll
probably a tackle.
And I would imagine that becomes North Carolina State's offensive tackle. I would think, or Evan. I guess Evan Neal's not off the board. So Evan Neal's
still on the
board.
We haven't touched him.
Yeah,
we haven't touched Evan Neal or Okwonu yet. I'm honestly a little surprised that I haven't been more incorrect, and one of those 2 guys is off the board. It's certainly a need for Carolina as well. The offensive line is still a problem.
52 sacks, Johnny. 52 sacks last year. Fifth
I mean,
worst in
you're
the
close to the
NFL.
Bengals.
Yeah.
And part of that is Sam Darnold holds onto the ball way, way too long. And so part of that is on Sam. Part of that is on not having Christian McCaffrey in your backfield and not being able to run the ball effectively, and that to be able to help you out a lot. At the same time, Malik Willis is the most gifted quarterback in this draft. It's a brand new owner in Tepper. He's only a few years in. These owners, you look at like Steve Ballmer for the LA Clippers, they like these big swings. They like these big, big swings. They like a lot of noise. They want to sell tickets. They want to be good desperately, and they aren't going to be patient or wait for it. I wouldn't be surprised still if they do take Malik Willis with a real big swing. It's not looking that way. Maybe their better judgment has come back into play. And hey, let's take the best offensive tackle on the board. They have their pick right now, which they probably wouldn't have expected coming in. Expect to see a few offensive players here probably in a row after we started off with 5 defensive players. My next few players in a row really that I have is Evan Neal, who's a tackle. I mean, you have Aquonu, who's a tackle. You have Garrett Wilson, who's a wide receiver. Charles Cross is a tackle. Jamison Williams. Like, we got a bunch of wide receivers and tackles left on this board right now, even if we're not looking at Malik Willis as a quarterback coming off. So we're probably seeing offense here. So
I would think so.
And probably for the next picks too. The Giants are next. They might pick whoever the Carolina doesn't between Evan Neal and Aquonu. So you might see those guys back to back either way.
The quarterback situation, again, they're one of those teams where Sam Darnold sees the answer. Everything tells you no. Your eyeballs tell you no. The stats tell you no. They had a league worst 21 interceptions, a league second worst, only 14 passing touchdowns. So that tells you no. But again, if you're Carolina, everything fell apart last year. And you do need help on the offensive line in a major way. So is Sam Darnold just the bridge quarterback? And again, I think you're probably going to be tired of us saying those two words, but it's the same situation where Carolina's got a bridge quarterback situation and Sam Darnold so they can fix up some things. This is the other issue too. Carolina only has 6 picks. They're picking right now, and unless a trade happens or something, they don't pick again until the 32nd pick of the 4th round. So
they'd love to trade back.
Yes. And
nobody will help them, but they'd love to trade back.
Exactly. And maybe that's exactly what this could be, right? Sometimes these trades, if you remember, you'll see a team pick, like the Panthers are going to pick here in a couple minutes. And we'll think maybe temporarily like, oh yeah, cool, Carolina made this pick. And then you'll find out a few minutes later, actually, this is part of a trade. So that's something to keep in mind too, because you're right. I think the Panthers would absolutely love to trade back. We're going to have a guest joining us later on who is a Carolina Panthers fan. He was talking about the fact that Carolina would like to trade back in theory, maybe pick up an additional pick because they only do have 6, and that's not very many considering teams like Jacksonville and Houston have like 11 and 12. So,
and they're picking 6, Aaron. So they clearly have a lot of holes on this team. Although I wouldn't say the Panthers need to be as desperate as some of those other teams ahead of them. Yes, you have Tom Brady and the Buccaneers right now, but this is Tom Brady's last year. And so if you're the Panthers, this play is, and I hate saying this, but there's several teams like that where the play is really for next year. And part of that's because there are just so many bridge quarterbacks this year that you are almost trying to stockpile and build up your roster so that next year you'll be ready. Tom Brady's going to probably actually retire at the end of this year. The Saints don't have a quarterback.
Falcons maybe they will tonight.
The Falcons don't have a quarterback. Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston probably aren't the answers there. Now, I will say the Saints roster is absolutely not devoid of talent. The Saints are still going to they're still going to be 9-8 probably this year too. So when you're looking at that team, it's not a bad team. But that division minus Tom Brady starting next year is open and is there for the taking. Things are not as desperate for Carolina in reality as it might appear. So if you take a quarterback like Malik Willis, maybe that's the answer, knowing that it will take him a few years really to develop and be ready to go. Wouldn't you do that? Buffalo would take Josh Allen all over again.
Yeah.
And it took him till year 3 to really get it together. He's raw, big, strong arm quarterback, mobile, but smart, willing to learn, good personality, good leader. Wouldn't be surprised if Carolina takes him. Seems like a solid, just human being there. You love to see that out of your quarterback. And then you just have to be patient and surround him with talent. And Buffalo was patient.
Yeah.
They developed Josh Allen and they surrounded him with excellent pieces and talent, trading for Stephon Diggs, building up the offensive line, getting that defense set and all ready to go. Buffalo's done a great job top down. Carolina could start with that same trajectory tonight.
Yeah, agreed. Michael says slander about the 9-8 Saints prediction for 2022. I don't know if I disagree. If everything goes well for the Saints,
slander.
Well, and Michael, we're gonna have Michael on later, so we can hash it out. We'll talk about this Panthers pick, and then we've got a really good question from Steven who asks what he thinks the Browns will do in this draft. Obviously, the Browns are a team without a first round pick.
Okwonu is the pick.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
I'm a little surprised it's not Evan Neal, to be honest with you, but it's still a really good pick by all accounts. I think to get him at 6, probably feel pretty good about that if you're Carolina.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. They got to be happy about that. And so that was really just to pick your favorite probably there for Carolina.
True. That's true.
Who is your favorite tackle on the board? They had Okwonu rated slightly higher than Evan Neal. You do have to think with Evan Neal, and this goes for Alabama players, Georgia players. We already talked about it with Trayvon Walker, Ohio State, Clemson in the past. I mean, look who's around them and the talent that they're surrounded by when it comes to them playing. A guy like Okwonu at NC State is playing a bit on an island.
Mm-hmm.
Now, NC State had a great year this year. They finished real well. I believe they would have beaten UCLA in the Holiday Bowl had they been able to play it, but they finished 9-3, which for NC State is an outstanding year. They beat Clemson. He's a big piece of that. And so when you have a top 10 pick, you can have special seasons in college. And so Okwonu coming in at 6, like great for him.
Yeah.
Carolina had him rated a little higher than Evan Neal, clearly.
Yeah. And again, they needed it. Again, I will repeat the stat. 52 sacks allowed last year. That was 5th worst in the NFL. It's actually, I know what Cincinnati gave up, right? Because we followed that pretty closely. It's a little concerning that there was that many teams that gave up that many sacks, those poor quarterbacks. Again, Sam Darnold is a little bit to blame. We'll see if Carolina does anything. I mean, they don't have a lot to work with, but do they just draft a quarterback with like their 4th pick? They've got 2 5th rounds, a 6th round, and a 7th round. That is it. So again, unless you have a groundbreaking trade, which I don't think you will, because what is Carolina really going to give up? That's their guy. It's good, but that's all we're going to hear from Carolina for a bit. So we'll see what happens with that. We are moving right back to the New York Giants. We're back with pick 7. So New York, welcome back. Just drafted Thibodeau, and now I would suggest I had Ahmad Gardner. You had Okwonu here, and your pick is probably more correct in the fact that I think Evan Neal makes a ton of sense.
A ton of sense. And so I wouldn't have been shocked by this at all if you switched the two, and everything you read, everything you saw in the combine, the measurables, you had these guys rated very, very similarly. So it really was going to determine, which team got to these guys first.
Yeah.
And so Carolina got to him first. They liked Okwonu a little bit better. He gets to stay in state. Again, another one of those gets to stay very close to the geographical footprint. And so I think they're thrilled to have him. The Giants, I think the play here was always to hope to get an edge rusher and an offensive tackle. They can still accomplish that goal here by taking Evan Neal. They might have even had Evan as a higher rated player, but with Stingley and Gardner both gone, despite their need at corner, I don't think you reach here for the 3rd one. The only other guy that I would say here is if you somehow have Charles Cross rated higher
That's true.
than Evan Neal. I don't expect that, but it's possible. And lastly, it could be Jermaine Johnson with a real outside shot here, the pass rusher out of Florida State on the edge. So that's the only other pick that I could see. I really don't see them going back-to-back edge rushers, though. And with their wide receiver room being the way it is, that would be a little stunning as well. Yeah. A little too many resources in the wide receiver room if they went that way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, just looking at the best available, You do have a Kyle Hamilton safety. That is a need that I've got with the Giants, but I think,
It
again, the
is.
bigger need is the offensive tackle. And when you've got Evan Neal, who, I mean, we had him being picked at 3. A lot of people had him picked in the top 5. He's still here. So I think if you're the Giants, got to be probably pretty happy. Like Thibodeau and Neal,
Yeah.
I think if you told the Giants that those were the 2 guys they're getting, assuming they're picking Neal, and we'll see, maybe it's someone else. But if you went into the draft saying, "Here's your 2 guys," I would have to believe Giants fans would take that and would take that in a heartbeat.
It should be happy. I mean, I think that's outstanding. You start in the trenches, build your team from the inside out. I think that's brilliant.
Yep.
Get to the quarterback, protect the quarterback. That's so key in this league. You already have too many resources allocated to your wide receiver room, really, to go and draft another wide receiver. There's not a corner on the board really for you to go after at this point. So the only guy I could see jumping up here again, really, to throw things off is Charles Cross from Mississippi State, if you somehow have him just as a high-rated tackle. But I don't see how you can make an argument to not go offensive line here if you're the Giants. It's set up perfectly for you.
Yeah. If they do draft Evan Neal, 6'7", 337
And it is
pounds.
Evan
It
Neal.
is Evan Neal.
It is Evan Neal.
He is a monster. Just physically, he is huge. I mean, he and I know is obviously
mountain.
A mountain. It's Alabama, so they're not always, they're not playing NFL caliber defenses, but man, he makes just about everyone else on that offensive and defensive line look tiny. He's huge, but people are just wowed at he's huge, but he's so mobile and athletic, and that's what for a lot of people made them put Evan Neal at the top of their board as far as the first offensive lineman coming off the board. Again, thank you for the Giants. Ooh, that's pretty good. You need a lot of help. Again, tied for the worst record in the NFL the last 5 years. But that's a good start. And you do have some second round picks. Like here's kind of a look at their draft picks. They've got the 4th pick of the 2nd round. They've got the 3rd and 17th picks of the 3rd round. That's where you can make your moves. That if you want to try a quarterback, you can. Or if you want to look wide receiver, if you want to look linebacker, that's probably the picks to do that. They did pick Kadarius Toney last year from Florida with the 20th pick. That was their first rounder last year. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But good job, Giants. I would say that's a really good start.
They did a great start to the draft. You got your tackle, you got your pass rusher. They're your 2 biggest needs. I think that's fantastic. And again, you're setting yourself up for next year. Now, if Daniel Jones knocks it out of the park somehow this year, you franchise tag him and you live with it.
Right.
Like if you think you found your quarterback, you're happy to pay him.
And if that's what happens, you're thrilled that you have to franchise tag him, because I don't think anyone believes that is going to happen. But
I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows?
Yeah.
Daniel seems like a great guy and a good leader and, does a good job, staying out of the news. But he just doesn't have the natural talent and ability of some of these other guys in the league. Moving on to number 8 with Atlanta, I'm really expecting a wide receiver here. I have Garrett Wilson. Yep. I believe Aaron has Garrett Wilson as well out of Ohio State. I think he has the most upside of any wide receiver in this draft as well. That's part of the reason that I think he gets drafted at 8. I also think it's because if you've watched him at Ohio State, he got better each and every year. He's great at high pointing the ball, going up and getting contested catches, but he's also an excellent route runner. Yep. Maybe not quite what Chris Olave is in that realm, but he learned from the best. And so I expect Garrett Wilson to be the pick here.
I do too. Here's a great stat. 2020, 73.4% of his receptions were out of the slot. Then 2021, he switched to the outside. 82.9% of his snaps were outside. And he was tremendous in both roles. He's versatile. I've got the same pick. He's a great person to have when you no longer have Matt Ryan. The Matt Ryan era is ended. He's gone. And right now you've got Marcus Mariota. Again, I'll say it one more time, bridge quarterback. I'm just going to say it. I think that's where it is for Mariota right now. By the way, Noah, who I know is a Giants fan, says love the Giants first round. So there you go. There's a backed up from a New York Giants fan. But I agree. And that's going to be interesting. Atlanta drafting here. They've got 9 picks right now. Jonny, do you think this is a team that drafts up, they've got 2 second round picks. They've got 2 third round picks. Do you think they take a quarterback at some point? Probably not in the first round. I don't know. Or is it?
I don't see it.
Yeah.
Based on what Arthur Blank said, he basically was, pushing the season. You know, he was
Right.
basically saying, "Hey, be patient with us. We're not going to be very good this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're ready to go and get after it next year. Next year, they're projected to have the most cap space in the league. Part of that is the 40 plus million cap hit of Matt Ryan, despite that trade
Yeah.
to the Colts this year. They just don't have money to spend. This is going to be a talent depleted team. They need to get younger and they need a lot of players in a lot of positions who are cheap. I actually really don't see them trading, Aaron,
Okay.
just because they need a lot of young, cheap players.
Sure.
So this would be a team that I don't necessarily expect that. Maybe you see it on day 3 with them trying to move up a little bit and consolidate some picks, but I don't see it in the early rounds.
One note that we mentioned on the podcast on Monday, there's no Calvin Ridley, right?
Right.
So
And that's part of the Garrett Wilson pick.
Yeah, right. So that also leads you to believe that Atlanta may be going wide receiver here. They ranked dead last in sacks, and they lost their sack leader in Dante Fowler Jr. So that's probably something they're going to address later on in the draft. But yes, Johnny, I agree with you. I think we are going to see our first wide receiver off the board here in Garrett Wilson with Atlanta. So we'll see if that's correct. It's not helping me. You're already up 4-2. You can see down below. So if we're correct, good for us. Pat on the back, but I'm not catching you, unfortunately. So, by the way, quick reminder, that link that you might see floating around in the chat, it's also pinned at the top of the chat. It's just a quick little Google form that you can click, just enter your name. And if you enter, we're not contacting you or anything. We're not weird like that.
Oh, wow. Drake London.
Okay, interesting.
Wow. Okay, positions right, players wrong. So starting to get the positions right and the wrong players. So we got the order wrong. That's one big trend we're seeing in this draft is there's not consensus on the order of offensive linemen, especially in the tackle position, in the wide receiver room, or at the cornerback position. We've already seen mix-ups now at all 3 of those based on what the consensus seemed to be at those 3 positions. So Drake London's the first wide receiver off the board. Aaron, what do you think?
This is maybe not that unpopular of an opinion now that the pick happened. I think Drake London has the highest ceiling. And he had 88 catches for 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2021. And that was in 8 games because he broke his ankle. So there's a little bit of injury concern, but I think there's a lot of potential for Drake London. And we're about to bring in, if I can get the technology to work here. There we go. We're bringing in Logan Stringfield. And Logan, we can have you weigh in on, oh, wow, dude, I like the hoodie, man. It's looking good.
Well, I was going to say, I'm wearing this real comfortable hoodie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the brand or not.
I am, yeah. By the way, fifthandgoalsports.com/merch if you want to pick up a hoodie or hit that link and you can win a t-shirt. So we're just reacting. Drake London picked by the Falcons, and then we'll get to your team, the Broncos, because obviously there's a bit of news surrounding the Denver Broncos this offseason. But are you surprised that it's London, the first wide receiver off the board, and not Garrett Wilson? Because we both had Wilson. I think a lot of people did, and it's Drake London.
Yeah, no, I wonder if Drake London is the safer pick here. And the Falcons, an organization. Garrett Wilson, I think, more of your upside play. Drake London may be better, a safer pick. I think the production's a little bit safer across the board. Personally, I did not think the Falcons were going to go wide receiver here. I thought Thibodeau would be here. So, unfortunately, that didn't pan out. I don't know. I think Atlanta's got a lot to figure out. Is Marcus Mariota really the answer there? Feels more like a Band-Aid rather than a solution.
That's a good word rather than bridge quarterback, which Johnny and I've been using a bunch. Band-Aid's a good word. That's good.
Well, the Broncos have very much adopted the Band-Aid
for
philosophy for a while there. So and who knows? I like London. I think the production is safe. I don't know if I don't see like a Justin Jefferson or like a Jamar Chase upside there. I think more like I see more like a wide receiver too. So I'm trying to think of like a solid, almost like a Cortland Sutton even. For the Broncos is kind of where that comparison kind of falls for me.
Okay,
it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how great he projects right now with Mariota thrown to him.
Yeah, right.
Kyle Pitts and you at least have Kyle Pitts and now Drake London. Because this pick's going to go kind of quick for the Seahawks. So Logan, you're a Denver Broncos fan for all of our watchers, and this is where Denver would be picking. But Denver is not picking here because they grabbed some guy named Russell Wilson as their quarterback. So I want to hear your thoughts as a Denver Broncos fan on Russell Wilson coming to town.
Yeah, no, I finally, that was like the first one. I dropped my phone when I was talking to my brother because I was just fine. I mean, that has just been, I think every Broncos fan the motto's been a quarterback away,
Yeah.
just a quarterback away. The defense has been in place, the offense weapons are in place, and it's just been, who's it going to be? For a while there, you thought, now bringing in Hackett, is it going to be Rodgers? Is it going to be Watson? What's the play? I think with Russell Wilson, he's the best man. I don't know if he was the best quarterback we could have got, but he's the best man. And I think that speaks a lot for the Broncos, who I think have needed the locker room presence since Peyton Manning. I don't know who's that's been at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think Russell Wilson is a guy who is looking, I mean, you heard him say that he is looking to play for the next 10 years. Just in his press conferences, just in how he conducts himself, just in what he's already done in the league. I think you look at, on the off year last year, some injuries, hit or miss. He got a lot more. He showed a lot more of the quarterback he's been his entire career towards his last few games of the season. And I just look at Denver as a team who now is like, this was the missing piece. I didn't think the price was bad. At all.
No, I thought it was reasonable, Logan. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought it was reasonable. You guys didn't give up any of your elite players on your team. You gave up Fant, but you can live with that.
Yeah,
you do. Yeah, you live with Fant, especially when I was throwing to him. So it doesn't matter who's the tight end.
Yeah.
And no offense to Drew Lock, he'll
be fine. Seattle's not in any trouble whatsoever.
He'll be good. But and we sat in the same spot last year, and I stared in disbelief as it said Patrick Surtain on the board, and not Justin Fields.
Right. Right.
But ultimately, it looks like that was the correct pick. I mean, Justin still has a lot of upside, but Surtain was great. And so we'll see. But yeah, I just think Russell answers a lot of questions immediately, and it's going to make a lot of fun football. That AFC though, that
oh
even
my
that
gosh,
left division, yikes.
Oh, yeah. Whew. I mean, Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in that division, probably. I mean, are you kidding me? That's insane.
And
that's insane.
Best fourth best quarterback ever.
Oh my gosh.
Best fourth quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, along the same lines, I'm curious, Logan, your thoughts, because here's Seattle, and you talked about Drew Lock, not probably your favorite quarterback that Denver's ever had, and now he was part of that trade to Seattle. Real quick, I'll run down that trade because you talked about the price. So Russell Wilson obviously headed to Denver. Seattle received this pick, the 9th, a first rounder in 2023, 2 second-round picks, including this year's 40th, this year's 5th-round pick, tight end Noah Fant, and quarterback Drew Lock. So that means that with this pick, is Seattle in the quarterback market right now during this pick? And that's the question. We're about to find out in like a minute or two. Should they be? I don't know. Kenny Pickett's been a name that's thrown around. I've heard Malik Willis to Seattle. I don't know. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Seattle goes quarterback here.
Okay.
I don't.
They shouldn't.
They probably shouldn't. Yeah, agreed.
It shouldn't. We're about to see it.
We are about to see it.
Yeah, I'm wondering offensive tackle.
That's so. Yes, I have Charles Cross.
Yes.
On my mock.
I've got Kenny
That's
Pickett
who they
for the
should
record.
pick. I really struggled
no.
with this one because there's a difference between what the Seahawks should do and what I think Pete Carroll will do.
Okay.
I really think Pete's going to go defense probably. He's probably going to take Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. Here is probably what I'm thinking. Maybe even Kyle Hamilton. He picks another safety. But the answer should be Charles Cross. Your offensive line's terrible. Take the best tackle left on the board. He's still a very, very good player at 3. The guy from Mississippi State. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, no, I said offensive tackle. That's what I think the Seahawks should do. I also think the Seahawks shouldn't have traded Russell Wilson. I'm glad they did.
Fair. Yeah.
But and they've got some they've got some issues with their front office. Who's running the show? And Pete is not at the age to be doing a rebuild there in Seattle. So they got to figure out what they're going to do and how long Pete's going to be around for. I think Cross would make a lot of sense. I like Jermaine Johnson too. I think he had 12 sacks.
He was outstanding at Florida State.
Yeah.
Not a very good Florida State team either.
No, Florida State struggled. But he was a bright spot.
This is the first time since 2010 that Seattle is drafting in the top 10s. This is something we've not
It's pretty
seen.
good.
And I mean, that is pretty good. That's you.
Charles Cross. There.
All right, there you go.
So,
All right.
There it is. All right.
Zach Johnny's
Hey,
killing me. 5-2. Are you
They
kidding?
listen. We're doing better than last year, actually. Somehow, Aaron. I think
You're doing better. I'm doing horrible, but I got the first 2 picks right, Johnny. That's it, and everyone knew that. Everyone's
5
got
of
the
9.
first.
I got.
That's really
I got
good.
5 of 9 right now.
That's
And
really good.
Anyone
I've
see
gotten.
Stingley going 3. I did not.
No.
Have
No. I thought we both had Evan Neal. And I think me and Aaron, along with a lot of experts, really thought Ahmad Gardner was the top corner. So
Yeah.
I think the Jets were pretty thrilled that they still had him at 4. I think Stingley's like 6'2", 6'3", big, wide-ranging corner, like everything you'd want. If you get 2019 Stingley, it's a great pick.
Sure.
But you just don't know. Like Stingley has a lot of injury problems. He could be the best corner in 3 or 4 years, or he could be an absolute bust and just injured all the time. And I don't hope for that, but it's possible.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that these teams didn't have a great corner like J.C. Horn on the board.
There you go. That was good timing last year when J.C. Horn got drafted. All right, Logan, we do need to let you go because we got someone else jumping on. But real quick, before we go, your prediction for the Denver Broncos this year. What do you think the record is? Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel 11-5, 12-4.
Okay.
I know that in that division, that's a lot. I truly believe in an improved Russell Wilson, in a way better offense. The Broncos offense has been so stagnant. And I think Hackett's going to come in. Watch for this pick. We had the last pick in the second round. Watch for linebacker Chad Muma. Hopefully he's still there. If he is there, could go tight end or corner. But what I hope the Broncos do, last pick in the second round, you look at Bradley Chubb, had a lot of injury concerns. You look at Randy Gregory, just came in. Good contract, hasn't played all offseason. They had bad surgery. You're going to draft the best player on the board, J.J. Kingsley Eningbare, a defensive end from a really good school here in South Carolina. He actually is the best player on the board right now. Not biased at all. But you watch for it. That's the pick. I think it's like late there in the 60s. Just watch for it. It's going to happen.
Logan, I love it.
We'll let you know. We'll send you a message when it happens. That's amazing. Well, Logan, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Excited for your Broncos. I think it's going to be a really good year. It will be weird seeing Russell Wilson in a different uniform, but I think it'll be really good. And with that defense, I think they could do some damage, even in a really, really challenging division. So
that
appreciate it,
division
Logan.
will be fun.
It will be fun. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you guys. Y'all keep killing the show.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Logan.
All right. Well, again, always love having Logan on. He's got like names picked out, and like I absolutely love it. Like I'm a Lions fan. I'm paying attention to like the first 3 picks, and then like I'll look at it afterwards and say, "Cool, they picked some players." Logan is dialed in.
And if your team is coming up on the draft, throw those names into the chat if you have them. Let us know on social media who you're wanting at that pick in the first round or even in the second round. We'd love to get that out of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, right on the heels of Logan, we've got another guest joining us. Nick Boucher is joining us. Nick, let us know if you can hear us. But Nick's a Carolina fan, so we'll kind of go back a few picks and talk about that Panthers pick. Nick, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Yes, it's good to see you guys. It's been a bit.
It has.
Good to see you, Nick.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear your reaction to Carolina. They were a team that was potentially in the quarterback market. Were you a Carolina fan that was just get rid of Sam Darnold? Like it's time to draft someone newer. Like where are you at on that?
Yeah. So being a Panthers fan, quarterbacks, just they escape us a lot of times. And have now since Cam Newton was good.
Right.
I was in the camp of bring back Cam for sure. Darnold, I never thought we should have done, but I was like, you know what, second round pick last year, might as well actually try that, give it up. But yeah, even when they like released Cam to get Teddy 2 years ago, I was like, this is a ridiculous decision. So I was actually thinking, why not shoot for Malik? Which I know it's a reach, but I was actually willing to take a shot. I think Brady Christensen could fill at left tackle. He's not really proven, but I feel like we got Bozeman, we added Corbett. There's a couple of pretty solid additions. We still have Moton, so I was like, you know what, we've already filled a lot of holes, which was the line issue. But I've watched Sam Darnold out of the pocket too much just be garbage. So I am, yeah. It was a tough year last year. It was.
I mean,
so Conwoo,
yeah. It was something that's needed. It's one of those things where, you needed it because the sack numbers were off the chart. Whether it's Sam Darnold's fault or the offensive line, it's probably both. But it's just not like you're like, okay, cool, we got the guy that we probably should have, but it doesn't feel good because you could have had like a guy like Malik Willis and kind of a guy that sparks the franchise a little bit. And you're right, like everything that went wrong. I was doing some research for this show, and I looked back. I'm like, oh my gosh, everything that could go wrong for Carolina did. It was crazy. So I have to think that your guys' record will be better than last year's just by default.
We were 5-11. Yeah, we were 5-11 2 years ago. This past year, I think we were 6-11. I know they added that
something
game.
along those lines. I got it here somewhere.
Real
Real quick, Garrett Wilson just got drafted by the New York Jets. So interesting.
Great pick.
We both had Jameson Williams at wide receivers. So again, Johnny, we're hitting on the wide receiver picks where they're going. We just have completely missed in which order they're going in.
Which ones?
Yeah.
And the Jets might not have thought Garrett Wilson would have been there originally. I'm surprised Drake London at 8. So maybe the Jets changed their mind here on their big board when Garrett Wilson was still available. So we don't know. But Nick, going back to Carolina, we both had Malik Willis at 6. Mm-hmm. Was that probably too high to pick him, a little too rich? Sure.
Yeah.
Is he a project? Yeah. But I mean, I think he has a lot of great potential.
I've seen plays where he's out of the pocket. He's making good decisions down the field. He's throwing dimes downfield, which for me, like watching what Sam Darnold did last year, every time he scrambled out of the pocket, it was like, let's give it to the other team, which is like the number one decision of a quarterback to not do, there's a couple touch passes that I was just like, I didn't know that quarterbacks in the NFL could make decisions like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That actually makes me excited that Atlanta went with Drake London instead of like a Jameson or an Olave or even Garrett Wilson. I'm like, man, I'll guard a Drake. Yeah, I'll guard the Drake guy. I'm like,
yeah.
Not where I've experienced the Kelvin Benjamin just go for size. That doesn't work out.
Yeah, right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the concern with London is injuries. And then he is just kind of a radius catch guy. Just throw it at him. Yeah. And where you have like Garrett Wilson, who's probably a lot more balanced in his skill set. Olave is a fantastic route runner, just clean. Jameson Williams just burns you. Yeah. Olave smooth. That's the right adjective for him. So not that London couldn't develop into a great player, but we'll just have to see. I like a lot of other wide receivers much better than him personally. Yeah. Jed's got to be happy at 10.
We do have a trade. Sure. New Orleans has moved to the 11th pick, which is very interesting.
Oh,
there was a chance that was going to happen. So yeah, Nick, best of luck as your rivals have. Maybe are they swinging for a quarterback? We'll see. Nick, we'll let you go, but thank you so much for jumping on talking about Carolina. Always good to hear a fan's perspective, and best of luck this season. Hope it's better than it has been the last couple of years.
Let's hope, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I thought we were going to trade back to get a quarterback, but Matt, even that. But
and it's tough because we mentioned earlier, like there's just not a lot of draft picks that you guys have to move in a direction, and that's kind of the sticking point right now.
Yeah, the capital is gone right now, but that's okay. We'll see.
Yep. All right, Nick, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Well, we'll try to get caught up on on this.
We'll figure out what the price tag was for that, and I think that's still being figured out, really, even by the experts right now, as far as what the Saints gave up. But the Saints did start off the day, Aaron, with the 16th and 19th pick. Correct. So we're probably looking at least one of those being gone with Washington,
right?
And then I'm sure additional picks in there as well. What do you think they probably had to give up? I
have no idea. Michael, what's up, man? Welcome. Thanks for jumping on impromptu here. So so here's a perfect scenario. I had everyone like perfectly spaced out. And this is what happens, right? You have these trades and then we get people, which is great. But all right, talk about it, Michael. I think at some point the Saints are taking a quarterback, because why do you trade the Packers or whoever, the Eagles, for an extra first round pick? You don't usually do that for a position player. I feel like they're going quarterback, and I feel like it could be here.
The only QB I want in this draft is Malik. Like I'm not buying Pickett at all. I don't want Pickett at all.
Okay.
Malik is the only one I will be satisfied with, but I was not expecting it today. We always trade up in the second day, so I thought it was going to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was hoping maybe we could grab Coral or Corral, whatever how to pronounce it, tomorrow. My ideal was going to be tackle, receiver, and then a QB tomorrow maybe, but that's not happening. So I genuinely have no idea what they're doing here. We'll see.
I agree though. I have a hard time, Aaron, and how could this not be Malik? Honestly, it at least has to be a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why are you trading up? I don't think you had to move up to go get Pickett. They must have thought maybe Pittsburgh might be rumored to be looking to trade up. Maybe they felt like they had to go get him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
I really don't know. I was just watching it live, and you said the Saints trade up. I'm like, what? They traded yet? I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. So this was Washington's pick originally. For what it's worth, and it's not worth a lot, I had Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame safety, going here. That's clearly not what New Orleans is going to pick.
We need a safety, but they wouldn't trade. I wouldn't think they would trade up. That's probably something they'll do tomorrow or day 2. So
or even with the 19th pick now, I'm assuming they.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming they still have that. We'll see as we get more information. I guess if.
I had Derek Stingley here. Clearly, that ship has sailed. Again, that would have been a need for Washington. They do have a need at corner. They probably feel they can still get a really, really good corner. The top 2 corners with Stingley and Gardner being off the board. That's probably why Washington's a willing trade partner here. The guy that they really, really wanted is probably gone. So they're happy to move down just a few picks. I'm sure they probably are sitting there with the Saints pick at 16 or 19 at the very least, maybe both even. We'll see what that price tag is as soon as we find out. Michael, what do you hope they gave up? Because they gave up something.
I'm hoping it's not both, because I really liked us having 2 picks in the first.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I can't imagine them giving both the 16 and 19 for an 11, but unless they if they really said, hey, Malik, that, I would be very surprised if it's not Malik, because I don't know why they would trade up because I was also surprised Drake London went already, but
sure.
Same.
If they weren't trading up for Garrett Wilson, I'm like, I don't know. I was hoping to get Olave with one of the other ones. I just love him as a route runner. Michael Thomas revenge tour this year. I genuinely have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, I think it's interesting you bring up the Michael Thomas revenge tour, because if he, and this is a really, really big if, but if he comes back and has the output that we've seen in the past, and let's say, I don't know, we're still trying to figure this out. Let's say the Saints still have that 18th pick or whatever, I guess 19th pick, and a guy like Chris Olave is still there. You pair up Chris Olave with like a healthy Michael Thomas, and maybe Malik Willis. I don't know. That's at least intriguing. They're not going to be boring. That's for sure. Never have the Saints been boring.
That's
crazy.
Honestly, it's a great place for Malik to go. I think you guys probably still start Jameis for the year. Mm-hmm. You have a great roster. It's a balanced, good roster overall. It's not a killer division other than Tampa. And I think he can grow into the position. You're not going to be asking too much of him. I think this is a great landing spot if it is Malik Willis, because I think he will have an actual opportunity to succeed. You know what the saying is, more quarterbacks are ruined than are made in the NFL. And I think Malik will get every opportunity to succeed if he does get to go to New Orleans.
Yeah. The defense just by itself, the fact that you can rely on your defense to get you to essentially win you some games. I mean, with all due respect to the quarterbacks that were through, I mean, the fact that the Saints finished above 500, 9-8 with some of the guys they were bringing in at quarterback, like Trevor Siemian.
We broke an NFL record for most people started in the season.
That's
crazy. That's not a good like it was an emotional roller coaster last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's I actually didn't know that stat. That's a great stat.
And Tom Brady couldn't score on him.
Yeah.
That defense still.
He's our starter. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, Goodell is taking his good old time, and he's got some friends up there as well. So I don't know exactly what's happening, but Tony Gonzalez is there. So that's
Austin Eckler. What's he doing up there?
Yeah. Ironically, it's Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah. We got like division rival Tony Gonzalez.
That's so funny. All right. So
Well,
this is
he's
gonna be an
probably
interesting
just
pick.
the number 11 pick. So let's,
Yeah,
let's
maybe.
see.
Yeah, he was expecting to have
Washington.
Washington here. The Commanders. We're gonna have to wait, guys. The first Commander drafted is gonna have to wait just a minute. Yeah,
Let's
this
see,
is
let's see.
interesting. This is interesting.
I'm very
It's the first big
intrigued. I
move.
do think there's an outside shot. This is Kyle Hamilton. I don't think so, but there is an outside.
I can't
shot.
imagine. I mean, with all due respect to Kyle
I
Hamilton,
don't think so.
it just there. The moment I saw that trade,
It's our third biggest need, but I'd be amazed if they traded up for that.
I would be shocked too, but that is the only other option on the board. That is
I
almost
don't know why
a
you trade up for
possibility.
yeah. Oh, so this was a Thursday Night Football promo, turns out. So we'll keep talking. So I don't know. Again, I'll go back to the point when I saw that Philly New Orleans trade. I know there's some really good skill players, wide receivers. The wide receiver class is deep. You've got some good offensive linemen, but generally, rule of thumb is you don't trade the way the Saints did, a first pick to then just pick a position player or to then pick a Kyle Hamilton. So when I saw that, and I know there's plenty of people that disagree with me, but when I saw that, I'm like, this is a quarterback. Now, obviously, I didn't have him picking here. I did have the Saints. Let's see, where do I have that on my list here? I think
pick is in
19. I had Matt Corral, so I had the Saints with the quarterback this draft.
You told me you had him,
but
I like Corral. I like him. So
yeah,
but
I think
Chris
here.
Olave. They moved
Really?
up for Chris Olave, guys.
Whoa.
We are very wrong.
So
Very wrong.
Wow.
I'm shocked they moved up to make sure they got Olave. So you have back-to-back Ohio State receivers. You got Wilson and Olave back-to-back.
Interesting.
a lot of people. I've seen some really whack mock drafts this year, especially some crazy stuff. But a lot of people had him in their top 10 in terms of overall power ranking or how they do the I don't know if it's combine, whatever grade they do.
Yeah.
He was in the top 10. I would love Chris Olave. I really wanted him. Now I did not think we were going to get him 11. I can't say I'm disappointed. We'll see the aftermath of the trade, but I really wanted Chris, so I'm not mad at all. But they love Ohio State players, and I'm not mad about it.
They do.
They love it.
Yeah, they do.
That makes their team. They have such good camaraderie on their team because they're all from freaking Ohio. So.
Yep. It is, when the Lions are as bad as they are, I do enjoy rooting for the Saints. It's basically like Ohio State 2.0.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you're right.
Ohio State South.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting
The Lions.
Oh,
wow.
The Lions just traded up to 12, took the Vikings pick.
suck it, Minnesota.
What do you think's going on here now?
Hey, I'm not.
Here's your trades, guys. Trade away.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know.
And
because Detroit needs everything.
I'm still trying.
I hope
I'm still trying to figure out what the price tag was.
I know
for that Saints pick.
I'm almost hoping it's not Malik Willis, and I don't have anything against him, but I just don't think the Lions need to be moving pieces to get a quarterback right now. Because Jared Goff is a band-aid. There's so many other. Now this could be Kyle Hamilton actually. I could.
You
see
think
that.
they would trade up to 12 for a safety?
They're Detroit, man. I don't know. Danielle, you're right. It is getting interesting. I don't know what's happening, man.
I'm trying to. No price tag has been published yet, so we're still looking. Sometimes this takes a second anyway for teams to actually find out.
And if you guys know in chat, by the way, as far as
because
obviously we're doing a bit of multitasking here, trying to watch and talk about it with our.
Come on, Twitter, where are you at?
So if you guys in chat see the details, feel free to post it there. That would help us out a lot. What you got, Johnny?
Oh, okay.
I'm blowing up my phone right now.
Word is for the Lions, they're trading up for a wide receiver, and it's probably Jamison Williams.
I'm okay with that.
So I had Jamison Williams going at 10 to the Jets.
Right.
So I'm not surprised by that, but we're seeing that run on wide receivers. I thought it might happen. I have 6 wide receivers mocked in my draft. This would already be number 4, and we're at number 12.
Whew.
So we're just seeing it earlier than I expected.
Yeah,
that's the big 4. I mean, there were these 4 receivers that have all gone now. If they go with him, you knew they were going quick. And I figured once the first 2 went, I didn't think Drake London was going to be first. I thought it was going to be Garrett for sure. But now they're all going. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually include in top 4. I'd actually include Treylon Burks in that too. At that fifth wide receiver.
Yeah. But
I think
you're
he'll
moving
be
up
the
for the
next one
upside of
going.
Jameson Williams, though. If that's what it
Yes.
is, you are moving up for the upside
Speed.
of Jameson Williams. And you're assuming all indication, maybe not, obviously not this year, but all indication is that Jameson Williams will get back to his form. And without that ACL torn in the national championship, he's the guy going first, and maybe sooner than the 8th pick where we saw Drake London go. That was all indications. So if you're Detroit, I'm okay with this, right? I'm okay. He's probably not going to, I don't know what his status will be. He's obviously not going to play at the beginning of the season, I don't think. I would assume you'll see him at some point this year. But I'm okay with
Aaron,
this.
you know what?
I'm good with this.
You know what this is a promo for? Brian Hartline's wide receiver room at Ohio State.
Yeah.
You have all 3 of them
10,
going
10, 11,
all
12?
together.
Yeah.
All 3 of these guys were on the same team in the same room.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams transferred just because he wanted to get on the field a little bit more.
Yeah.
You see what Ohio State's wide receiver room still looks like.
And Jackson
So you
Smith and Jigba could be the
understand
best
it.
one of all of them. That's the
He could
crazy
be the
thing.
best one. So, hey, what an advertisement for that wide receiver room in Columbus. So we definitely are seeing some interesting moves here. Again, that's not official for Jameson Williams. I am seeing the trade here for the Lions and Vikings, at least. The Lions get that 12th overall. They get a second pick this year, the second round pick this year. Vikings get number 32.
There you go.
Number 34 overall.
They just
so
swapped
first in the
rounds,
second
looks like.
round.
Yeah.
And they also got another pick as well.
Okay.
I
I
didn't
figured
get to see
the
that quite
32nd
yet.
pick was for sure going away when that trade. I mean, that you knew that was going away. Michael, real quick.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, real quick. Because we got to let you go because we got someone else coming on. Oh my gosh, there's even more trades because Philly's 13 now. Real quick, prediction for New Orleans Saints. What's their record next year?
I'm gonna go with 10 wins.
Okay.
Our schedule's pretty hard. We're playing the AFC North and the NFC West, which are 2 of the best divisions in football. So it'll be a fun one.
And there's official Jameson Williams there.
Okay.
Awesome.
There you go.
All right. Well,
cool.
if the Saints have another pick, I may pop back in.
Yeah,
but
for
until
sure.
then,
Yep,
keep it
absolutely.
rolling,
We'll have
boys.
you back.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to talk to you too. All right.
Thanks, Michael.
Appreciate
Peace.
it. Okay, so hang
Craziness.
on. Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. Hang on. Let me we're bringing in another guest because the Eagles just trade up.
I can't keep up.
Yeah.
These trades.
It just so happens that literally all of our guests are the ones involved in these trades. So thanks for bearing with us as we try to pull this in. But again, real quick, while we're kind of bracing ourselves for the next trade, which is Philly now moving up to 13, we'll see what that means. And we're bringing in Matt Schultz, who is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so we'll react to this. The 13th pick now at Philadelphia. Of course, this is a team that had the 15th and 18th pick. Now, according to ESPN, it's still showing Philadelphia as having that 15th pick. So we'll see what they did to move up or what they want. But Matt, what's going on, man? Already a crazy draft. And here come your Eagles moving up. They're making a move. Wide receivers are going fast. But what do you think about the Eagles in the draft?
Hey, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, yep.
Great. Well, like you said, my name is Matt. I'm from Tuna No Crust, the podcast. Check it out at tunanocrust@gmail.com.
There you go.
You can sub to us if you want. Just gotta
definitely
throw a
not
little
to
shout
us.
out there.
Only to Matt.
Definitely sub to Fifth and Goal as well. But
I appreciate that.
yeah. So I just went into the other room. I'm watching the draft with my family and a friend of mine. And I saw that we just moved up to pick 13, but the Lions are right ahead of us. And I think I heard that they just took Jameis Williams.
They did, yes.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, so here's your wide receivers,
Well,
all within the last 5 picks. You had Drake London go at 8, Garrett Wilson 10, Chris Olave 11, and Jameson Williams 12. So it's and I think that's what it is. I think the wide receivers are going fast, and you're seeing some panic from these teams. And I don't know if that's what Philly's doing, if they're going wide receiver here. We're about to find out.
Treylon Burks would be that wide receiver,
Yes.
possibly.
Yeah.
So if we're going wide
I think
receiver.
they're going to go with a wide receiver now that Williams is out. I think they're probably going to go with what's his name, Hamilton.
Yeah,
Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle
That's
Hamilton,
actually who I
yeah.
have at the spot.
You do.
That's who I
I
have.
think that's probably who they're going to take. I was talking to my friend just a few minutes ago, and he was thinking that they were going to go for Williams at the 13,
Sure.
thinking that Hamilton would be down there
Yep.
still. But now that the Lions took that, that's kind of thrown me off. I was talking to Aaron earlier, Johnny, and I said that I'm a true Eagles fan, and where I don't do a whole lot of research before the draft. I do enough research after the fact to complain about Howie Roseman
Yes.
for like the next like 6 months. And then either it works out and they're like, oh, Howie, you're a god, amazing, I love you. Or you have like, I don't know, 95% of the receivers we've picked in the last 5 years. And then you say, Howie, what are you doing? Whether it was JJ Whiteside or our favorite wide receiver, Jalen Reagor, the bust that he is. But so I'm actually in another room now, and I can't see the draft, but
That's
I know
okay,
if I go in there, then it's going to be.
It looks like
loud,
Houston has
so.
that 15th pick now. Aaron.
Yeah, it's switched. So
yeah,
you probably
so
just,
there's a swap there.
Yeah, just a swap of 2 spots. Probably you gave, because Philadelphia was coming into this draft with 10 picks, right? The two first ones, but they've got a second, 2/3, a fourth, a fifth, actually 3/5 and a seventh. So it's probably like their 4th or 5th round pick would be my guess.
We had 3 first rounds until what, a week and a half
True.
ago?
Yeah, exactly.
We traded to the Saints, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's something interesting. Johnny, you had Chris Olave to the Eagles, and it's interesting because Devontae Smith accounted for 43.5% of wide receiver targets. The other wide receivers were last in NFL in targets per game. So it makes you wonder, when they saw this run on wide receivers, did they have a moment of panic? And then they're like, oh my gosh, we have to get somebody. I'm curious if
they
that's
also
what's
just
happening.
don't throw it well.
Yeah. Or
they just don't throw it very well right
true.
now. So.
And that's a good question for Matt. Matt, is this a make or break year for Jalen Hurts? What are your thoughts on him going into 2022?
I think it's a make or break year, but I also think that it's almost less dependent on him per se. I think that it's make or break for him on the Eagles, not a make or break for him in the league. My theory on it is that unless he comes out looking like an absolute stud, he's probably not going to be with the Eagles next year.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to have the job all year this year. Like I don't think he's our future, but I think we're committed to him for this year. And so I don't know if there's a whole lot that he can really do to change that trajectory. I mean, if he comes out there and is like looking like MVP caliber, of course we'll keep him. But I don't think that he's going to show anything that would make us kind of keep him for another year.
Yeah.
I love him, though. I would like to keep him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to keep developing. I would really like to point out that Jonny was wrong last year, saying that my Eagles weren't going to do anything, and they still made it to the playoffs.
Yep.
They did.
So
they did.
I think
they did. I was wrong about my own Bengals too. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah, well, that's the best thing to be wrong about, is when you think they're not going to do well and
Absolutely.
they go all the way.
I'm still waiting on the Lions to do that, but someday, right?
You
Statistically, it has to happen in my lifetime, right? Is that?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You got to have that hope.
Yeah, you have to hope.
They just got Williams, so
yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they got a shot there. Maybe Jared Goff can throw him a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. Maybe. I mean, that's one of the issues, and not that I'm trying to talk about the Lions right now, but that's one of the issues, right? Jared Goff, is he a Band-Aid right now for the Lions? Yes. But the wide receiver room was pretty atrocious. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown came on. That was nice to see. Won rookie of the month the last month of the season. So,
I'm pretty sure I put a waiver request in for him on my fantasy team in one of my leagues.
That makes sense.
I didn't get him. And it didn't help because my receiving core on my fantasy team was pretty weak last year. I think Devontae Smith was like the shining star, and that's saying something on fantasy. He's an incredible receiver. Very happy with him, but
Eagles trade here, guys. Eagles got the 13th pick. They swapped that 15th pick. Texans also get a 4th round pick and 2 5th round picks.
Wow, interesting.
So your price tag's a 4th and 2 5ths to swap there.
That's
and
a
move
little
up 2
more
spots.
than I would have thought, I guess. Maybe
yeah,
not.
but if you like your guy,
sure.
It's not a king's ransom.
Yeah.
I'm just curious who they liked enough that they felt like they had to get ahead of Baltimore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that might be the real question. Who did you think you needed to? Did you think you needed to get ahead of Baltimore here for this pick?
Interesting.
Like that's kind of the question to me. Or did you think Houston would take him? let's see. I think it's Kyle Hamilton. The run on wide receivers might make you think it's Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe it's an outside. Maybe it's Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis?
You got to have somebody to pair with Fletcher Cox. Maybe let's see.
Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, that's what a good name. Or yeah, whatever. Anyways,
yeah.
I was going to say the Eagles have the third easiest strength of schedule in 2022, which is good considering, and probably the reason for that is still not a great division. So, yeah, you're kind of in win now mentality. I think if
the
you're
NFC
Philly.
East is not a great division. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying. That's probably the hottest take I've had all night. But that's my take, and I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it.
Like the Commanders, such a great history of a year and a half.
I know. We're still waiting on the first Commanders pick. Yeah. We're going to have it at 11 or whatever, and then that went away. So the first player drafted as a Commander, still waiting. Waiting. And now we're waiting on all the festivities happening on the stage, which is good, but it looks like Goodell finally has this Philadelphia Eagles pick, so we'll see what we get.
Well, I think he's introducing some high school
very nice
players.
Yeah.
So, yes, good for them. Good for them. We'll have to wait a little bit. But Aaron, who did you have originally at this pick? I do have Kyle Hamilton. Now, I thought it would be Houston making the pick. I might lean that way still, really, with the Eagles. I mean, Jermaine Johnson is a guy that I would have had picked already at this point. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. I don't know if Philly's biggest need is pass rushing. Never can have too many of those, though. Maybe it's a corner to go opposite of Slay on the opposite side, or he's still hurt. So maybe we're looking at a corner. What do you think about that? Oh, here's the pick, and it is Jordan Davis.
Is it really?
So they had,
wow.
They wanted to get ahead of Baltimore.
And I had Baltimore taking Jordan Davis. Interesting.
That's exactly it. They made that trade to get ahead of Baltimore for Jordan Davis. They wanted him. That makes absolute sense. That was the key there. They wanted to get ahead. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I was going to say, what do you think about Jordan Davis? That's a large man that's coming to Philly. That is a large man.
Big fan of large men. You can quote me on that on the next episode if you want. And you get a couple big guys on the Eagles. I'm a fan. I can't speak too much because I didn't do too much research on Jordan Davis.
Well, right, but now is your gut reaction to the owner. Yeah, exactly.
Is going to be anything that's going to help our defense. That's.
Yeah,
I feel like we had some of the framework for a good defense last year, and like there were definitely a lot of shining moments, but that's something that year to year is questionable for us. So
yeah. And this is the heir apparent to Fletcher Cox. I mean, this guy's a monster. Some people wanted him deeper in that Heisman race this year. Unfortunately, defensive tackles really struggled.
Georgia was handing the ball off to this guy just to get him in the Heisman.
Yes,
full respect to them.
He's a massive dude, 6'6", I believe, over, like 300 pounds. I mean, this guy's a monster, but he is scary fast for that size and that large of a human.
I love to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, I think Philly is going to absolutely love having Jordan Davis on their team. So I think it's a great pick. I don't think it was a king's ransom to go get him. If that was the guy you wanted, you had to get ahead of Baltimore because that was the thought that a lot of people thought would take him. So
Matt, we gotta let you go because Baltimore's pick is in. But Matt, thank you for joining us.
Sounds good.
Thanks for being here quickly when the Eagles made that trade up, and now Baltimore is on the clock for their 14th pick. Yeah.
All right. Have a good rest of your show, guys.
Yeah, you too, man. Appreciate you being on.
Again, Tuna No Crust Pod.
That's right.
All services. All right. Bye, guys.
Later, man.
Later.
All right, so that does bring the Baltimore Ravens the 14th pick. And look, Johnny, this is where I had Jordan Davis going.
Again, Tuna No Crust Pod.
That's right.
All services.
And we're bringing in Steven. Steven, you might need to mute this stream. I think that's better. It does bring because there's a weird kind of funky delay there. I think it's better now. But yeah, Steven Schindler is joining us. He's a Baltimore Ravens fan. And Steven, we're bringing you in. It looks like what happened is the Philadelphia Eagles just jumped you guys for Jordan Davis. I don't know if Baltimore was originally planning on picking Jordan Davis, but Yeah, but now it's Baltimore's turn. Steven, can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Sounding
Great.
good. So, what are you expecting Baltimore here? They've got the 14th pick. What are you looking for them to do here?
Yeah, well, before I get started, thanks to both of you guys for having me on. The NFL Draft is a top 2 or 3 event on the sporting calendar for me every year, so appreciate your work and glad to be on here. As soon as Philadelphia jumped Baltimore there to get to 13, I had a feeling it was Jordan Davis they wanted. Brandon Williams, a longtime tenure on the defensive line. We drafted him in the 3rd round in 2013 out of Missouri Southern. We did not re-sign him, the free agent. So that was the thought there, was going to be the next anchor and cornerstone of the defensive line. So not surprised that Jordan Davis was taken there. By way of Baltimore here, they have a lot of needs defensive side of the ball. You think of Marcus Peters last year, tore his ACL in preseason. Gus Edwards, the running back, about 10 minutes later tore his ACL as well.
Oh, right.
So Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth are available there. Marcus Peters, last year of his contract and coming off an ACL. So not entirely sure, what to make of that, but that's something they may look to do here. But I'm looking at Jermaine Johnson here, the pass rusher out of Florida State. I think that's a huge need opposite of Adafe Owe, who they took late in the 1st round last year with the trade with Orlando Brown Jr. It'll be interesting to see what they do here, but I think they stay on the defensive side of the ball. It's hard for me to imagine with Ronnie Stanley's health back to hopefully 100% that they go Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. I think if you had asked me this 2 or 3 days ago, I would have thought maybe the offensive tackle from Northern Iowa, but I think they stay on the defensive side of the ball here.
Yeah, Steven, I originally actually had Trent McDuffie here, and I think he's a great pick, great look here. I think you mentioned it with the cluster injuries Baltimore had last year, which were just insane before the season even started that they dealt with. I agree. This has to be defense really at this point. Jermaine Johnson's a great call. I think McDuffie or Booth would be great calls at corner. Any thoughts on perhaps even Kyle Hamilton at safety? I know you mentioned even looking at O-line, that's kind of outside shot though.
I guess, and maybe you guys agree or disagree. I'm a little surprised Kyle Hamilton's available at 14.
Yeah, I am too.
I thought there was several teams here before Baltimore. I thought they would take him. So best player available, possibly. I'm thinking about the depth that we have at safety. We just signed Marcus Williams, 5 years, $80 million. Not necessarily a need. And then we have Chuck Clark that we took a few years back, a 6th rounder out of Virginia Tech that's just been tremendous. So not saying we would take Hamilton here, but it doesn't necessarily meet a need. We have a lot of needs defensively, but I think it's more, defensive back corner. I think we have a need to stop the run, which would have been Jordan Davis, and that's why Philadelphia did this. I really like Jermaine Johnson. I'll be honest, that's who I want Baltimore to take. I'm not sure that they will.
Picks in.
Do we have a pick?
Kyle Hamilton.
It is Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton is the pick. They went best available.
Michael Hess called that in the chat.
Good for Michael Hess. I personally am surprised I took my Kyle Hamilton, but again, that'll help them in nickel packaging with some very good quarterbacks there in the AFC North. Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, looking to bolster the pass defense. So definitely the best player on the board. I don't think that's arguable at this point.
Yeah. I think just being a safety, the position hurt him. We haven't seen a linebacker picked yet. He's the first safety off the board. They're just not a priority right now in the NFL. You're trying to get guys who can catch the ball from the quarterback, protect the quarterback, get to the quarterback, and defend the pass out there with your corner. So I think your position probably hurt him there. He's probably a top 5 player in the draft overall, though, in my opinion, Steven.
Yeah, tremendous value there, and that's kind of the Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta way. Typically are never trading up. I actually thought they may trade back in this year's draft. That 10 to 16 spot was a bit of a sweet spot. We've seen that, with some picks there. Detroit, moving up to get their receiver. New Orleans moving up to get their receiver. I thought maybe we'd trade back and see if we can get some picks later on in the 2nd, 3rd day there. But I do like Kyle Hamilton. Just shocked that he's here, and we went best player available over.
That's interesting.
Pass rusher.
It is. It's interesting. He's also, for his position safety, he's 6'4", 220. I mean, this is a big dude with
He's a big boy.
So I don't know if that means that they experiment with playing him in maybe a position that better fits Baltimore. I don't know how flexible they're willing to be with him, but I think that's interesting. Before we let you go, and I'm just curious, it's kind of well documented that Lamar Jackson has never made it past the divisional round of the playoffs. With the AFC North being as challenging as it is, potentially even more challenging than it was last year, do you see that changing for Baltimore? What's kind of your outlook for Baltimore this season?
Oh man, Aaron, I hope so. We'll see what happens. There's been some tough losses. You think back to his playoff career. So the year he took over for Flacco, halfway through the season at 5-6, won 5 of the last 6 games and lost in the first round there to the Chargers. Young, first time playing. This is, the following year they were the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, and a heartbreaker there at home to Tennessee. And then the loss to Buffalo the following year, where he didn't play too well, driving for a touchdown and threw a pick 6 there. And then last year, through 11 weeks, we were we would have gotten the bye in the AFC. He got hurt and went on to lose 6 straight. So just a tough 3 years there. I do trust Lamar. I think he's a heck of a quarterback, obviously very unique. I feel weird saying this. I know there's a Bengals fan here in this time. This is what I'll say. Tremendous run by the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's an absolute star, and I think there's some weapons there that are going to be very formidable for the next decade. My thought is this, though. 1 time is impressive. The question is, can they sustain it? I know they've made a lot of improvements there to the offensive line already. They may make some more improvements to the offensive line later on this evening. We'll see.
Hopefully.
But I like Baltimore. I think on paper they're the best or second best team in the division, and I think barring some hopefully we're a little bit more healthy this year than last. Don't want to.
It'd be hard not to be.
Man, I can't remember a team that was more decimated by injuries than Baltimore was last year. There were just times where I looked at. Every Sunday I looked and say, who is that guy? And it was a guy they signed 3 days ago
off a practice squad.
And he's expected to stay with Jamar Chase, and we saw that in Cincinnati when he housed us. So. I'm optimistic. I think Lamar Jackson is a fantastic quarterback. I think he's up there with the Burrows and the Allens and Mahomes and the Carrs and the Wilsons. Pretty crowded quarterbacks there in the AFC. Going to be tough competition.
It will. It will for sure. Well, Steven, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your take as a Baltimore Ravens fan. We appreciate you joining us, and best of luck to your team in 2022.
Thanks, guys.
Not too much.
Well, Johnny that's coming from me, not Johnny. Johnny doesn't care.
I know. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Steven.
You're welcome. All right, you're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, let's see. Houston
Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Aaron.
No, go ahead.
Kenyon Green, Texas A&M, interior offensive lineman, probably a guard here that we're seeing. Me and Aaron both had him first round pick. He's a little higher than we originally had him, coming in at 15. That will be Houston taking him. I originally had Chris Olave here, but I also had Philly taking him. So a little nuts there with all the wide receiver trades. Kenyon Green gets elevated there with, kind of a gap in the offensive linemen that we're seeing here. And a great pickup. Still, I think he's an outstanding offensive lineman. Texas A&M had a great O-line, beating Alabama this year. Houston needs help at the offensive line, and I think Houston felt after trading back they still needed to get that lineman. So he's still available, so good for them.
Yeah. David Frost is with us. David, what's up, man? Your Ravens just moved. I'm sorry, they didn't move up. They set exactly where they were. They picked up Kyle Hamilton. What are your thoughts on Kyle Hamilton?
Trade bait for Debo. Come on.
There you go.
No. I'll be honest. I'm just glad we have him. Great player. But obviously I wanted the dream of Thibodeau, who doesn't want Kayvon Thibodeau with the pass rush was terrible last season. So we needed something. But I was like, we like Jordan Davis, especially with Calais Campbell in the room. The two of them together would have worked well.
Yeah.
With Owen, especially too, last season stepping up, but the Eagles, you hate them, You love them when Nick Foles is on the field, and you hate them every other time of the season. So, So I'm just here. I'm vibing.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you the same question I just asked Steven. Again, it's a challenging division now in the AFC North. Probably more so this year because I don't think Cleveland's going to be who knows. But the point is, it's still going to be a difficult division. Where do you see the Ravens kind of falling in 2022?
I see us. love the Ravens. I see us taking a wild card spot.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
Not for a lack of a bad season. Like, I could see us winning 11, 12 games realistically because we are a talented team, and I think people downplay how big of a factor Lamar Jackson is on the field. I mean, like, Steven talked about the injuries last season, and we still went 8-3. I mean, when Lamar played, which is a huge, change of pace. And to lose every game afterwards, I mean, like, he's a huge piece. We have, running backs coming back. Marlon Humphreys will be healthy again. Marcus Smart over the air will help a lot with cornerbacks getting beat deep, especially looking at Jamar Chase, as long as he doesn't pull. I say Marcus Smart. I'm sorry, Marcus Williams.
Yeah, tis the season. Tis the season.
Same idea.
Real quick, David, and we're getting, I was going to say, Johnny, your face, I know what you're thinking. There's reports that the Ravens traded Marquise Brown to the Cardinals for the 23rd pick. So Arizona had the 23rd pick. Marquise Brown is gone to Arizona. So Michael, shout out to you for posting that in the chat for us. That helped us follow up with that. So just your initial takes on that. That apparently just happened.
Pain part 87 at this point.
No.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when you drop the ball a lot and I don't know, man. Now I'm just hurt. Now I'm just.
I'm sorry. What an unfortunate time for you to be on.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
no,
okay.
David, I know you're upset about it. I think it's actually really, really good. I think you're looking at Marquise Brown. He doesn't hold on the ball enough, and he doesn't hold on to the ball enough for a small wide receiver.
No, he doesn't.
He's not going to get contested balls. And the reality is he's not the right type of wide receiver for Lamar in my mind. The right type of wide receiver, and I think they might be targeting him here. Treylon.
Yeah.
And I think Treylon would be a great pick there at 23. We'll see if he's still there available. I have him going before then, actually. But I also had him going to the Saints. So we'll also see if, they really want to go 2 wide receivers. Probably not. But we'll see if the other teams let him slip by. I think that would be a great pick for the Ravens. It would be a similar styled offense to what he ran at Arkansas. A team that likes to run the ball. It's not a very accurate thrower at quarterback. I like Lamar, but he's just not. That's not his MO. He throws in a radius for his wide receivers. That's why he loves his tight ends and throwing it to them. Get a big-bodied wide receiver who's good at just going up and snagging the ball. He'll make Lamar right a lot on the field. So I think that'd be an outstanding pick for the Ravens. And if it's a straight up Marquise Brown for number 23, I think it's fantastic. There's probably more details to the trade, which I'm trying to find, but I'll let you guys know if I find anything.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. So the Cardinals have traded themselves out of go ahead, Johnny.
Sorry. Titans are planning to trade A.J. Brown to the Eagles. That's right now. Titans are trading A.J. Brown to the Eagles.
Wow.
Huge news.
This is interesting. Who would have thought
Adam Schefter? That's Adam Schefter.
Who would have thought these 2 moves are made, and we've got Deebo Samuel just kind of out there floating somewhere. Who knows what's going to happen?
That trade base coming in real productive here soon. I'm telling you, man. Kyle Hamilton.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So, do you think that means Tennessee is getting? Oh, and sorry, we're just reacting live with you guys. Jahan Dotson for the Commanders here at the pick 16.
You didn't even have Johnny. You didn't even have him on your final mock draft in the first round.
He was in my first round, every single one until the final one, and that's just because I was hearing a lot about George Pickens. Guys, again, we are running out of wide receivers, and we're running out of them really, really fast. So try to keep up
We'll see if Baltimore can hang on. If they're trying to get Treylon at 23, oh boy, we'll see.
It's not gonna happen.
And that's my point. That's my point. The way things are going, the only other we're running out of wide receivers here to get picked in the first round. I really like Dotson. 16 is rich for me. That's a little much personally. So we'll see how that ends up looking for them. But wow. I mean, the run on receivers, Jahan Dotson we're Ohio State fans, me and Aaron, and he gave them a lot of fits.
Yes, he did. Poster time.
Yeah.
David, we got to let you run because we've got more trades and more people jumping on. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for your gut reactions to what the Baltimore Ravens are doing live. Always appreciate you being on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yep, anytime.
Thanks, David.
All right, I don't even know who's even picking right now. The Chargers
I can hardly keep
We're at
up
17.
with this.
I'm so behind. All right, hang on. We'll get the next thing rolling here. All right.
So yeah, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
At this
by the way,
point.
thanks for your questions in chat. I know we still. Oh, Steven, a question about what the Browns will do on the draft. Josh Burst asked a question. He asked, "Do you think Philly wanted Jameson and Detroit just beat him to it?" At this point, no. Considering what we know now, what Philly's doing, I think the answer is no, probably.
And we have the pick for the Chargers. It's Zion Johnson, guard, Boston College. So now we're starting to see those interior linemen go. I'm starting to get a little worried myself as a Bengals fan, hoping for Tyler Linderbaum sneaking down to the Bengals at 31. So I'm starting to get a little nervous here, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I had Trevor Penning going to the Los Angeles Chargers. So again, correct position, wrong player. That seems to be a common theme.
Me and Aaron are really striking out recently here. So
I still have the only things I've gotten right are the first two picks still. But anyways, that's fine. We're working on getting. Oh, here we go. Austin, what's up, man? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, we can hear you. Yep. Oh, there's your video. What's up, man? Thanks for jumping on. You can see behind, well, Austin can't see behind us because it's on the magic internet, but you can see the Chicago Bears and you got the sweatshirt. I like it. Austin, thanks for joining us. And I just want to say thank you, Austin, for being incredibly patient. We were planning on having Austin on like the 11th pick when the Washington Commanders were picking. And here we are at pick 18. So Austin, thanks for your patience as all these trades are happening. We do want to catch up and talk about the Bears. They're not in the first round this year. But you had a chance to be pretty involved in their season. You got to go to a couple games. The fans were not very happy with Chicago, some of the front office coaching decisions. Just want to talk a little bit about that, just kind of the general sense of Chicago Bears fans over this past season.
Yeah, so the general sense was fire Nagy.
Yes.
They got their wish.
They did.
Another problem was the QB situation. We've had three QBs, and we used three QBs this season. That's a problem. There's definitely a problem with the ability to protect our QBs, just with the injuries. And when you spend draft picks last season with getting Justin Field, you want to protect that.
Yeah.
So that's something hopefully the Bears will be looking for in this draft, is getting some offensive line, maybe trading to get some more experienced offensive linemen, not just rookies coming through the draft, because you still got to train those guys, and we need offensive line now.
Yeah.
So looking for that.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. And Jonny, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but I think Chicago's not Chicago should not be as far away from competing as they are, right? Like maybe not with the Packers, but they should be like beating the Vikings and certainly the Detroit Lions. And instead, it was just a slugfest of who wanted to lose worse on Thanksgiving Day between Detroit and Chicago. So, I mean, Austin, I think it's a good point. Obviously, you're both a Buckeye fan and a Bears fan, so I think it's got to be pretty fun to watch Justin Fields still out there every week. How's that been when he plays? When he was started.
Super excited. Last draft because it was a pretty big surprise that the Bears were going to go for him.
Yeah.
There's definitely some issues with keeping him injury free. He does take a lot of hits, and some of those hits are teams get away with it because he's a rookie. Like there's some late hits that we saw, especially from the Vikings game. I was there, late hit. That one they did call flag on, but like many of them are him just kind of getting banged up just because he's new in the league. He doesn't have that cushion that Tom Brady and veteran QBs have.
Fair.
Yeah. A little bit more detail, kind of shifting focuses here. Yep. AJ Brown to Philly was for the 18th pick, which is coming in right now from Tennessee.
Tennessee's
Picks in, but hasn't been announced. And the 101st pick. That's it. That's all that's being reported right now.
Weird.
That is all that, according to Albert Breer, who I really trust and respect, NFL reporter, just the 18th and 101st pick. If I'm Philly, great work.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, hey, like if you're Philly, I think you nailed it. I mean, good job. Wow. Like you got your interior defensive tackle there and you still got your wide receiver. And I think if you're trading, I believe that's a 4th round pick and a 1st round pick for AJ Brown. I think you take that. So well done.
Yeah.
Well done, really, I think, on the Eagles' part. And if I'm the Titans, who you picking here? Who you picking here? I know Chicago's clearly not on the board here, Austin, but you any thoughts here, Aaron? Any thoughts? Like I originally having Philly pick, I had Andrew Booth Jr., who is still available.
Yeah,
I'm striking out left and right now. But,
I had Tyler Linderbaum eventually, but that was at 26. Like, also, future note for anyone that's hosting a draft show: have your notes in better order so that when trades happen, you're actually ready to talk about stuff. Just no.
Yeah.
Michael's saying
it's a 3rd round pick, 18th overall and 3rd round pick for AJ Brown. Great
is Treylon
work,
Burks.
honestly,
Is Treylon
Burks
the pick here? Then is that the question? Do they just replace?
You would think. Yeah. It's a very different player to me. And that begs the question: if you're Baltimore, are you really coming up for him? If you're going to trade back into the 1st round at 23,
right?
What's the play here? Because if you really wanted to go get the wide receiver you wanted, that seems a little early to be trading up and then not trading up far enough, not going all in. So maybe they're looking at someone else that we're not thinking of. Maybe they're kind of moving back up to make sure that they get their corner after taking Kyle Hamilton. But Austin, what are you hoping for Chicago in the draft this year? They don't have a 1st round pick, but what are you looking forward to? Any players in mind or positions that you're really hoping they address?
Definitely looking for, like I said previously, some protection for Justin Fields. Also looking for some targets for him. More wide receivers. They've lost a couple of their big name guys in the last couple of years just because of trades and performance issues. So some younger wide receivers. Obviously, a lot of the wide receivers are going fast.
They're going so fast.
So
it's going to be interesting to see what is left by the 2nd round. And then another position would be cornerbacks. Defensive line was good. We did lose Mack, traded him away. So we'll see if the defensive line can still be as good as it was in previous years, and then add some strength to the secondary.
Yeah, that all makes sense. As this Tennessee pick is, we'll let good old Mr. Goodell make his announcement here, and then we'll let you go.
The pick is Treylon Burks. It is Treylon Burks, which makes sense. That's a pick earlier than I had him. Pick earlier.
Yeah.
So close.
Interesting. Well, there's another wide receiver. Austin, your point, they're going so fast. Before I let you go, your thoughts on Chicago, just kind of this season as we've had our guests on. We just kind of want to get the forecast of the 2022 Chicago Bears. Are you optimistic, pessimistic, a little bit of both? What you thinking?
I'd say a little bit of both. I think they should make the wild card. They probably can be better. Like you said, they can beat teams like the Vikings, like the Lions. I'd like to see them at least beat Green Bay once.
Yeah, sure.
So I think they can at least be a wild card team. I'd like to see better, obviously, but I think that's a good starting point without being too biased.
Yeah, no, that's good, and I think that's a pretty reasonable take too. Well, Austin, I appreciate you jumping on. Thanks for being patient again, for navigating through all these trades and stuff. Always good to talk to you. So yeah, good luck. This is same thing as before. I don't really wish you the best of luck. Jonny can wish you the best of luck for your team. So I don't.
Good luck, Austin.
There you
go.
Right,
sounds
there
good.
You go. All right, later, man. Appreciate it. All right, so
Aaron, we have 6 wide receivers who have gone so far.
In the
I
top
had 6
18.
total. In my mock draft in the 1st round, I had 6 total. I wasn't going to be surprised if there was 7. one of my guys that I had in the first round still hasn't even been picked yet. So maybe that's the 7th. I have George Pickens. I did have him going later on. I do think we might pump the brakes a little bit on the wide receiver craziness now. Other than George Pickens, I think we've kind of hit, the wall as far as there is a wall here before the next crop of wide receivers. So it might slow down. I would expect that.
Yeah.
But six wide receivers in the first 18 picks.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy. Hey, if you paid attention to the NFL offseason, it has been madness. I mean, just madness. It's a wide receiver bubble right now. So it's crazy. It's absolutely bizarre. Aaron, thoughts on Treylon replacing really AJ Brown in Tennessee?
I mean, I guess from a size standpoint, it kind of makes sense, I guess, from that perspective. Josh says, it's actually time for Christian Watson and Justin Ross to get reached on. I mean, at this rate, they might. We'll see. I would also throw Sky Moore into that conversation. That's a guy I had the Lions pick with the 32nd pick. He's got a really high upside guy from Western Michigan. Michael, welcome back. My goodness.
Crazy.
This is absolutely insane. New Orleans is back on the clock. We are at pick 19. My graphics behind, down here, they're actually finally correct. We're caught up. The pick is in. And Michael, you said in chat, and I think it's worth noting, I think this could be a quarterback pick, as could the next pick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that you said you were worried about that.
Friends like, I'm nervous right now.
Yeah. Nervous good or nervous bad?
I think if we don't, I think the Steelers might go for it. I think the Steelers might go for Malik if we don't.
Agreed.
Or do you want another wide receiver? Would you like another wide receiver?
No,
we still
I don't.
We still have some great wide receivers. We got George Pickens. We got Christian Watson. We got
Pickens
some other
wide receivers. One I can see going tonight. Well, you never know with how it's been. You don't know.
You don't know.
The only one, Pickens may be the only one, but I think we're good. Marquez is good enough to be a 3. Last year he had to be our 1, which was not it. He's good enough to be a 3, so we'll take that.
Yeah. Real quick before we get too much farther, I did promise we'd close out the giveaway at 10 o'clock. It is 10:10, so we're already late. But if you've not joined we're doing a giveaway. You can win a 5th and Goal t-shirt. If you'd like to do that, I will close that out in the next 5 minutes. So there's a link at the top of the chat that you can click on. All you need to do is just enter your name in there, and you'll be entered into the giveaway. And that's it. So we want to get you guys some merch. If you don't win the giveaway and you still want some merch, by all means, 5thandgoalsports.com/merch. You can find it there. We've got a t-shirt, hoodie, long sleeve, all that stuff. So we'll close that out in 5 minutes.
Ooh. I like this.
Yeah.
Are you ahead of us here, Michael?
Yeah, I think Michael's just going to say, you break the news to us. I think you're ahead of us.
I like it. Trevor Penning.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a good pick.
And that's a need.
We got our tackle, but just in different ways that I thought it was going to happen tonight.
I actually had New Orleans taking Trevor Penning. I just had him at 16. So maybe I get a half point for that, Aaron. Maybe not. No. I did have New Orleans taking them. Just had them taking at 16, which was originally New Orleans' pick. So they still got the guy they wanted. I think that's a great pick. Michael? What do you think about?
I like that. I was hoping Cross was going to fall that far to us at 16, but clearly that didn't happen. Penning, I've seen a lot of mock drafts where Penning at 16 and Olave at 19. You never know if Olave would have survived at 19, so we'll never know if it was a reach or not. But by the way things went, I would say it was probably a good thing to trade up if you really wanted Olave. I think I'm happy with it. Tackle and receiver, I'm happy with it. I didn't know if we were going to go for Malik there. I would be very interested to see if Steelers go for Malik right now.
A little bit more information on AJ Brown. I'm sorry, we're getting wide receiver crazy here. He did sign a 4-year extension, $100 million, $57 million guaranteed with the Eagles.
Wow!
So big money getting passed out. You knew they would if they're going to make that trade. They'd sign him, but the deal's done. So.
Wow, that was fast.
Well,
or it was in the work for
fast
weeks. I don't know.
Night, everybody.
Yeah, they do.
Things happen really quick draft night.
Yeah, they do.
This has been one of the craziest drafts since I can remember, honestly.
I mean, there was a lot of executives that you were people were reporting on. They're like, this. I've never seen something like this in 30 years. So yeah, crazy. Crazy. I had a point and it's totally gone. I don't know where it went. Oh, yes, this is what it was. So going into this, I said it when you were on originally for the Saints' first pick of the draft. I'm like, this had to have been for quarterback, right? And apparently it seems as if the answer was no. I just have to think at this point that they just loved Chris Olave. Like they must have, like that was their guy. And good for them. They got their guy. I think that'll work really well. Again, if Michael Thomas comes back at any point like he was, I know kind of a weird ankle injury that's really kept him out basically 2 years now. But if he's like any semblance of what he was, that's pretty darn interesting. And like Jameis Winston will throw the ball. Now,
I know a lot.
I mean, he's going to wing it. He's going to be chucking it, man. He's going to be chucking it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. And you guys didn't have to give up your other first round pick. So to do it. You gave up some picks.
Like the Saints got rid of. We gave the Commanders our 16, and then we gave them a third and a fourth. So a little bit more than I want. But hey, Olave's the guy. We got to tackle him. We got to receiver. Those are the biggest things. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know who, but I wouldn't be shocked if we go for a safety tomorrow. So
sure. You're not going to meet every need, but I think it's a win that you're able to hold on to both first round picks. Yeah, 3 and 4 might be a little bit more. Giving away both might be a little bit rich for you, but hey, if you like a guy, go get him so you don't regret it later. And I think they really like Trevor Penning too. I think they wanted him the whole time. So if you got the 2 guys you really wanted, aren't you willing to give up a third and fourth? Oh, I think that's great.
Yeah. Interesting pick now. Pittsburgh at 20. I want to give credit to Josh on our podcast who with confidence said Malik Willis to Pittsburgh. Now, the interesting thing is I think for number one, I think he could absolutely be correct, which for those that follow the podcast would put him in our scoreboard, our basically meaningless scoreboard, much like the one that we've had.
He'd be back
floating down. Be back in good for him, first of all, because I didn't think Malik Willis would last, and now it appears that he may fall into the Steelers' lap. But here's the other thing: you've got Kenny Pickett, who literally played in the same stadium as the Steelers with the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Kenny Pickett.
So this is a very interesting pick, and we'll see. I don't
know.
The
Steelers, man. Only the Steelers would have Malik Willis just drop into their lap at 20. Wouldn't even have to give anything up.
I know. I never would have thought he would make it this far. I thought 6 to Carolina was like a very reasonable thing to do. And now we're at 20.
And that changed. That changed in the last 2 days. Like since Jonny, like even like the last 24 hours, it went from like probably 70% yes to like 5% like no chance for Malik Willis, which is interesting.
I feel like they talked Tepper out of it. I feel like the owner probably wanted Malik Willis, and the general manager and coaches probably talked him out of it. That's me just guessing, but owners like big splashes, and Malik Willis would have been a big splash. So, Aaron, me and you might not get another pick right in this draft. The amount of trades that have happened. When trades happen, it's so hard.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
The Steelers, what are you doing?
Yeah. Josh says if they
Michael,
don't pick
you want to
Willis,
break it to us,
pick it on the yellow.
Man, you said it, Jonny. They are taking Pickett. They're taking
Yes.
Pickett.
Wow.
Yes.
There you go, Josh.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Yes. Okay. I'm all right with that.
He's staying put. He's literally playing in the exact same stadium because the Pittsburgh Panthers play at Heinz Field. He's not going anywhere. That's amazing.
I'm okay with that. No offense to Kenny. I hope you have a good career, bud. But
Josh, I'm sorry that you're not going to get your point because you got Willis, but good on, man. Good job picking the quarterback at 20. You're right. Didn't have to. Pickett stays in Pitt. You're right.
That's amazing.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, Michael, appreciate you jumping back on for the Saints pick. Always good to have you. Thanks for. Again, also being flexible with all the trades that are happening.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm sweating already. I mean, not that it's in Florida or anything, but I'm sweating.
I can't imagine the rest of the night's going to be any less exciting, so we'll see what happens. So,
wow.
All right. Yeah, man, appreciate you being here. Thanks for jumping on with us. Yep, you too.
Thanks, Michael. That's Kenny Pickett.
That's crazy.
That is not what people thought. They thought if the Steelers get a chance to draft a quarterback at 20 and Malik Willis is still there. Now, if Malik would have been gone, I think more people would have suspected this. But the fact that he was there, that is interesting. It's very interesting. I'm sure the Steelers know Kenny very, very well. He literally plays at the same stadium, same field. How would you not know him very well? I'm sure Tomlin and Narduzzi know each other very well, the two coaches there. I'm very intrigued, Aaron. I'm honestly very surprised. I thought they'd take Malik Willis, who is seemingly same skill set even as Mitch Trubisky. Pickett and Trubisky are not that similar in styles. So a little surprised here. What are your thoughts on Kenny Pickett?
It made more sense when it was Pittsburgh's pick. I just kind of assumed everything we had heard was Willis was going first. But I think maybe it was only this 20th pick where Pittsburgh's literally getting their hometown guy, which I would assume Steelers fans are pretty darn excited about. I would have to think. It answers the question that we knew the answer to, that Mitch Trubisky is clearly not the answer going like long term. I think this pick obviously pretty much lends itself to saying no, he's not. But here's the tricky thing is, and I think again we can use the term bridge quarterback, Band-Aid, whatever you want to call it. I think the Steelers are definitely going to be better off letting Mitch Trubisky run this offense because the weapons are not quite there for Pittsburgh this year. Now Najee Harris is going to be really good. I think they're not bad, but I mean some losses. Not good enough to where I think they make like an actual like deep run. You know what I mean? Like they're probably still like fringe 500, getting to the playoffs like they do every year somehow.
Yeah, they have Deontay Johnson. They got Claypool still. They still have Najee Harris. Yeah. But the offensive line still has big problems. Big problems. And that's why you have a mobile quarterback like Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just intrigued here. I'm intrigued. And I think Kenyon Green being gone might have affected this pick a little bit too. Where like your interior offensive lineman that you might have had number one on the board isn't there. Darian Kennard, it was my pick here at tackle from Kentucky going to Pittsburgh. That was a little bit of a shot in the dark there. Having Malik Willis gone, I'm shocked by Kenny Pickett, and good for Kenny. I'm sure he's thrilled to not go anywhere at all. That's got to be kind of nice for his family too.
We're seeing obviously delayed, but I mean ESPN showing the family, and like that's a pretty emotional moment for him. That's cool to see.
That's got to be cool. Yeah, that's got to be cool. Really, really cool. Good for Kenny. And he took huge leaps while he was and popped this year for sure in college and had a phenomenal year. Pitt finally got past Clemson. Good for them this year. That was a huge move for them. Really, really excited about that for Pitt and for Kenny. And, he's going to come in as an older quarterback playing all 4 years in college.
That's
and
true.
So
5 years? 5 years?
He might have been redshirted.
Either way. Yeah. You're good point.
But he played like 4 full seasons there. And so like, hey, he's the most ready quarterback to be inserted right away. Yeah. And so that's probably why he's the first guy picked. Very smart quarterback. That probably had a lot to do with Tomlin picking him. He doesn't make a lot of dumb decisions. He's not turnover prone. He's certainly not raw. He's almost your classic prototypical quarterback that you might have almost expected a little bit more 5 to 8 years ago, but he is mobile. He does have the potential to run. You saw him do that against Wake Forest in the ACC title game and in the bowl game. Well, not in the bowl game because Kenny didn't play in the bowl game. Yeah. In that ACC title game, like Kenny is quick enough to be able to be elusive and mobile and move, but he's not quite that Mitch Trubisky or Malik Willis where like it is a key component to his game where he must run. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. Sorry, Aaron, you can talk about Kenny still if you'd like to. New England just traded their pick to Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
So Kansas City's moving up to 21.
I would assume giving them – because Kansas City had back-to-back like 29 and 30.
Yes.
So interesting.
Let's see. I'll be looking and seeing what's going on here.
Yeah. So while we're doing that, while we're figuring that out, real quick, you've got 30 seconds left to get into this giveaway. Again, click that link that's in the chat. Just type in your name, and you can be entered to win a 5th and Goal t-shirt. So I'm going to pick a winner in like 30 seconds while Kansas City has their pick. An interesting trade. A little surprised New England. I was going to say New England. I was thinking maybe a linebacker, like maybe that's a spot where Nakobe Dean goes because I had him all the way up at 15. That's literally who you had the Patriots picking. But yeah, this is interesting because Kansas City right now, the 29th and 30th picks, I'm assuming that 30th pick probably went to New England. You would have to think. I'm sure we'll get the details here in just a second. All right, real quick, let's, again, like 5 seconds left to get your name in here in this giveaway. If you want a chance at joining, getting a t-shirt, and again, fifthandgoalsports.com/merch. You can check out all that if you are interested in that kind of thing. So, all right, let me pick a winner here. All right, Rob Martin is our winner. Congratulations. Let's go. So, yeah, if you're hanging out and chat with us, just shoot me a message, or I know that you won. So, we'll get that t-shirt to you. So, congratulations. Yeah, thanks. And thanks to everyone that jumped in that giveaway. We'll do it again next year. I don't know, sometime. We'll do it again sometime. Sweet. Well, as we figure out this Kansas City Chiefs, one real quick thing too, if you don't mind, if you hit that like button on the stream, that would help us out a bunch. Appreciate that. And if you're enjoying this stream, I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it a lot. Feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I know we've got a lot of videos planned that are coming out soon. So we got a lot more sports content, and we stream here every week for our podcast. So there's all my I don't know, announcements. Now back to pick 21, Johnny. Kansas City. What do you think? What do you think Kansas City's doing here?
So remember, Honey Badger's gone.
Right.
Tyrann Mathieu's gone. So you might be looking at getting a linebacker safety here, and Nakobe Dean might be
Daxton
a
Hill?
thought here. Devin Lloyd, Daxton Hill might be the thought if you're going a true safety. You might also be thinking they're coming up for a corner, although I don't think that was a necessary trade up. I do have Daxton Hill going to them originally later on.
Right.
Maybe they're going for pass rush here in George Carl. Gosh, I can't say his last name.
Yeah.
Karlaftis.
Yeah,
Karlaftis. Sorry, sir.
Karlaftis.
You are an excellent
Purdue,
edge
defensive
rusher.
end.
Oh, here's the trade. Chiefs get the 21st overall. Patriots get 29.
Yeah.
And then a 3rd and 4th round pick this year as well. The Chiefs actually started with the most picks this year.
Yeah.
In this year's draft. So don't be shocked that they actually made a trade that actually should have been seen probably by all of us, that they were going to make a move.
Yep. All right. Well,
Aaron, what are your thoughts? Who do you think they're taking?
I mean, I thought along the same lines, like linebackers. I've got Nakobe Dean. I really think Devin Lloyd's going to be really, really good, especially if he ends up in a good situation. Kansas City would be a pretty darn good situation for him. I also had Daxton Hill around that. I had Daxton Hill going to Tampa Bay because that just like felt like a Tampa Bay pick, to pick a guy like Daxton Hill.
Fair enough.
So we'll see. I'm not surprised that they made a move. You're right, Johnny. You said it. All of the draft picks that they have. And considering they had back-to-back picks, it felt like they were probably going to do something. And it's Trent McDuffie, quarterback of Washington. That's a name that we didn't mention, but fits kind of that mold that you were talking about. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I had Trent McDuffie going actually all the way up at 14 to Baltimore originally. Steven kind of said that was kind of who he was almost hoping for at corner there, that met their need up there. So he's sliding all the way down. We haven't really seen a lot of corners since they went 3 and 4. And so this is a great pick here for Kansas City. It's a need. You look at the AFC and the elite talent that's sitting all around, and you can never have enough corners. You saw, Kansas City went down to Cincinnati this year. Maybe you're really getting these corners thinking about Buffalo with their wide receiving core. You're thinking about Cincinnati, their wide receiver core. Denver with theirs. The LA Chargers with their wide receiving. There's so many great teams in the AFC with fantastic wide receiving cores that, hey, go out and get another corner that you think that can help you right now. And great pick for Kansas City. I think that's a great value pick too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, man, this draft, man. I feel like I'm still trying to catch my breath from like picks 10 to 19. I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I'm like, whew, all right, I can breathe a little bit now. Temporarily.
And I know me and Aaron have totally failed you on all these picks. But you guys know, these mock drafts are almost impossible to pick. And when they make these trades like this, it's near impossible. So ever since these trades started, me and Aaron have gone an offer. So
Jonny, I still have 2 points, and it's from the first 2 picks, which everyone in the world knew. I'm going to fire myself from this job. It'll just be Jonny next year, guys. I hope you enjoy it.
I got 4 of the first 5 of the first 9, and then I'm done. I'm done too. And after that, it's a lot of right positions, wrong players, and that was one of the big questions coming into tonight. Was truly, you kind of knew which wide receivers and corners were going to go and in that first round, but we had no idea who was going to go in what order because it could all depend on which team was just picking first, and so a team like Atlanta really, really liked Drake London and his potential ceiling, where the Jets might have originally been even planning to take London but Garrett Wilson's sitting there now and unexpectedly. And so these teams don't know what they're doing. Once you get past 1 or 2, they really they don't have a clue. They have their big boards. They have guys that they're hoping might be there, but they're all reacting as quickly as we are to some of these things. But they, of course, have much bigger decisions than just a mock draft.
Yeah. I think the Packers fit that mold pretty darn well as far as a team that's like, what do we do now? Because we all know the history of the Packers in the draft, Jordan Love, but also the fact that to my knowledge, and someone can probably correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I do not believe the Packers have drafted a wide receiver in the first round with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. They've not done it. They've not. So, Jonny, you had Drake London going here, pick 22. I had Treylon.
I think it's George Pickens now.
Okay, and maybe it is. Because I had Treylon Burks going to Green Bay with the 28th pick. We both thought that this would finally be the year for the Packers. And maybe it will be, because maybe it will be right here. But, man, I think you're probably still excited if you're Green Bay, because here's their quarterback room, right? You've got Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins. They're all names that you know, but that's because they've been around for like a decade. They're old, man. And Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback right here a season. He's going to put up numbers with those guys, but they're old. Devontae Adams,
Aaron,
gone.
Are you sure he's going to put up numbers with them? Are you sure? Oh, wow.
His regular season leads me to believe yes, but.
Classic Packers, not a wide receiver. Interior linebacker, Quay Walker, Georgia.
Oh, Quay Walker did go. Wow.
The first Georgia linebacker to be drafted is not Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
And it's not
Devin Lloyd.
Darian Kent, wow. Yeah. Like crazy. So they clearly liked him better. Hey, I actually really, really trust the scouting department for the Packers in that. And so I'm not shocked that they went a very safe, conservative pick.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I'm interrupting myself.
No, you're good.
Buffalo has traded to take the 23rd pick from Baltimore. So that trade just happened. Yeah. Baltimore traded for that pick. And so now it's going to Buffalo.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm not even exactly sure. I got to remind myself who originally had that pick at 23.
It is Buffalo. So Baltimore has moved back to 25. So Buffalo's, I don't know what the ramifications are as far as other picks. Buffalo is moving up from 25 to 23. As you mentioned, Baltimore, who traded to get in that 23 slot, has moved back 2 spots.
Clearly the guy that Baltimore wanted is gone.
Yeah, hang on. Sorry, I just realized your video's not here. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
You're good. Just keep talking. I'll fix it on my end.
Clearly, maybe it was Treylon Burks. That's who Baltimore was targeting. And then, they realized they didn't trade up high enough. So they traded back again, maybe to recoup some of what they had to trade up for. And let's see who Buffalo really wants. I have a hard time believing Buffalo's taking Breece Hall now. I don't think it would have been necessary to trade up and go get Breece. So we'll see who Buffalo's really looking at here. Maybe Buffalo's looking at taking Carl Fanatis and, or maybe they're looking at a Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean. You still have Aaron, has Jermaine Johnson gone yet?
Not to my knowledge. No, which is interesting. I mean, we both had Karlaftis to the Cardinals in this spot. We actually agreed. But you're right. I think unless we're both just completely forgetting, I had Jermaine Johnson 13th. You had him 12th. And I don't believe, unless you guys can tell us if we're crazy, I don't think we are. I think we're well, okay, we might be crazy, but I don't think we're wrong about that. Anyways. Jonny, I was going to ask the question going back to the Packers, and then we can jump back to the Bills.
Sure.
Do you think the Packers are in the Deebo Samuels sweepstakes, considering a relatively weak wide receiver, or at least an old wide receiver core? Like, is that realistic to think?
Yeah.
Because they do have like $15 million in cap space right now.
They should be. I also don't think the 49ers would pick up the phone.
That's a good point.
I don't think the 49ers would trade with the Packers. It's too close to home. You keep facing them in the postseason. The last thing in the world you want is to face the player that you trade in your own conference.
That's a good point.
So I really just don't see it. Based on how tonight's gone, I actually do expect Deebo to come back to the 49ers. The picks that I think the 49ers would have wanted are gone. And I really just don't see a team on the board really that is going to make that trade or has the assets to make that trade anymore. So my assumption, and I was very wrong about AJ Brown. I really thought the Titans would keep him. It's very Stephon Diggs from Minnesota to Buffalo. Like, let's trade away our guy. And then Minnesota drafted Justin Jefferson immediately to replace him. It's very similar with Treylon Burks getting drafted as soon as they trade AJ Brown away to the Eagles. So, hey, at least Tennessee clearly had a plan. So you have to give them that. They have a plan here. Really, like, whether you agree with it or not, it's a cap situation, I'm sure. I think you have to be sad to lose a guy that you still have team control over, though, so early. I think you would have liked to trade AJ Brown really next year if you absolutely had to. At the same time, I think you're seeing the well-run teams trade away these high-market wide receivers that are just going to cost too much. So I don't think it helps Tennessee in the short run as a team. It certainly helps them in their cap situation. But, I mean, we'll have to see what this does to them as a team overall. Tennessee might be another team, though, Aaron, based on, Tannehill's contract, they might be in the quarterback market.
I was actually just about to say that. I'll tell you what I was doing, because I was listening to you in one ear, and then the other ear I was listening to my own brain, and I was looking like, well, Detroit, what if Malik Willis is available at the 32nd pick? And then my eyes are like, Tennessee. Interesting. So I agree. Maybe they are, because the Tannehill thing's messy.
Well, and Detroit doesn't have 32 anymore.
Oh, that's a good. Thank you for reminding me.
Minnesota has it.
That's a good reminder. All right, so it's really Tennessee, and that's probably it. I mean, that's interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No other team on the board is going to draft a wide receiver. I mean, a quarterback.
No.
Poor Malik might be sitting here for a while.
He might be. Interesting. Let's see.
This is where, though, a team who wasn't expecting him to be there still, who's near the top of the second round, is kind of lying in wait.
Yeah.
Still could be Detroit and is thinking, what if we give up a third-round pick to move up a few spots and go get this guy? We didn't think he'd be there. Let's go get him. Here's for the Bills. The Bills got the 23rd. They swap with the Ravens to the 25th. The Ravens also get a fourth-round pick back from Buffalo in that. So,
and I would assume Buffalo has probably getting the same guy they want. I would assume if Baltimore's willing to do that. So,
Baltimore traded up with Arizona though into the first round from the second. So clearly, who Baltimore was hoping for wasn't available. And I think that probably happened quickly, and they were trying to trade back out of that, see if they could recoup some assets.
Interesting.
So that's a rough move for Baltimore. That really is a botched trade up in my mind. That's my assumption. But probably a botched trade there where who they were hoping would be there is gone. I don't know if I'm assuming that probably was a wide receiver based on trading away Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, Commissioner's up at the podium, at least for us. He is. Yeah. You guys may have already seen this pick, but
Khair Elam, Florida's corner.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. That's a little higher than I thought. Just a few picks earlier, but good pick. Solid corner. Another one of these guys that we're just not really sure, the order of the corners. A lot of upside with him. He was one of the guys I was hoping the Bengals might take should Linderbaum not be
that's
there,
actually who I had, and in my mock was him going to Cincinnati. That makes a lot of sense. I think for Buffalo, I had them with let's see here. I had them with Trent McDuffie. So I had them going quarterback again, right position, wrong player. That seems to be my lot in life now, but such is life. So now we move to pick 24. It is Dallas picking 24th. We both had Kenyon Green here to Dallas. He is no longer available. Yeah.
A couple thoughts here then for them. This could be Linderbaum. I don't expect it. Dallas doesn't really need a center.
Yeah.
We're probably looking more at perhaps Darian Kennard, who I had Kentucky's tackle. Dallas has gotten hurt so much on their offensive line. They've started to lose some of their pieces.
Yep.
Don't be surprised. Bernard Raymond could be a pick here as well for Detroit, for Dallas. Those are two really good options, solid options. They're safe options. Daxon Kirkland, Washington offensive line, that could be an option too.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also Dallas, and Dallas likes some flash.
They do.
And you know who would fit Dallas here personality-wise, Aaron?
Oh, no. Let me look.
George Pickens.
There
Pickens.
You go. Okay. Yeah.
Perfectly here.
Well,
he's a little bit of a powder keg. That kind of fits in Dallas. So
it's funny. We were joking. I think it was before the stream. That clearly we were very wrong because the wide receivers went in a flash. But we're like, if Chris Olave just happens to fall all the way to Dallas, they're taking him. Do they need him? Not really. Not compared to some of the other needs they have. But my goodness, they'd swoop him up in a heartbeat. No Amari Cooper there anymore. So wide receiver room looks a little bit different. But CeeDee Lamb, who was very similar, right? Like CeeDee Lamb kind of fell into their lap. But yeah, Johnny, I could see that. I could see that for sure. But here's the off season for Dallas, right? To add to the very strange way they lost the playoff game with the infamous Dak Prescott kneel, they traded Amari Cooper to the Cleveland Browns. They released La'el Collins, and by the way, they had that negotiation with Randy Gregory where the team posted on social media he's returning, and then an hour Gregory's like, "No, I'm going to Denver." So that's basically the offseason for Dallas. So again, I'm assuming that Cowboys fans want something a little bit better than they've seen in the offseason and in the last couple games.
Aaron, this is probably where Jermaine Johnson goes after losing Randy Gregory.
That's a good call.
And actually would be a great pick for Dallas. Jermaine Johnson, you lost Randy Gregory. Let's go ahead and replace him. Get another pass rusher. You need to make sure you have a rusher off the edge. I think this would be perfect for Dallas. It would meet a need. Honestly, your interior offensive lineman's not really there that you would want at this pick. Maybe you just hold off on that, get that guy later in the draft. Go get a pass rusher. Go replace Randy Gregory with your Jermaine Johnson. And it's a great value at this point in the draft, too. I think that would be excellent. And that you're seeing, Jerry in his draft room there. And,
gosh.
Jerry gets the last say and everything. So he's going to want somebody special. I think Jermaine Johnson should fit that mold, but he always likes a little bit more flash than that. So maybe we're looking at George Pickens. It's certainly not going to be one of the linebackers, though.
Yeah. If it's not Jermaine Johnson here, and we'll kind of bring back Baltimore because maybe there was a little bit of a botched trade. If it's not Jermaine Johnson here, I think that would make a lot of sense for Baltimore as well.
Sure.
But it's quite likely that Dallas could pick up a player like that. We're counting down the minutes for that to happen. Johnny, just realistically, like just talking about the Cowboys as it just kind of forecasting 2022, because it's the NFC least. It's not quite as bad as it was. You saw Dallas make some. I mean, they did their thing. But is Dallas like truly on the right trajectory, do you think? Or are they stuck in mediocrity for forever?
They're in no man's land. They're in no man's land.
Completely agree.
Because they paid Dak, and I get paying Dak because he's a great leader, does all the right things, says all the right things, seems like a really, really good guy. He's probably right around, Derek Carr, what type of level quarterback where like you're probably good enough to win a Super Bowl, but everything needs to land right for you.
Yeah.
And the sad part of that is, though, you're in a terrible division. You don't really have any excuses for not everything to land right. But he needs like the running game to be perfect. He has to be protected. He has to have the right weapons. Defense needs to make some plays. Like Dak's good enough to win a Super Bowl, but everything else needs to be in place. And the Cowboys just don't have the depth. They get a couple nicks on the offensive line. They have a wide receiver go down.
Yep.
They're just too star heavy. There's no depth to the team. It's football. There's going to be injuries. And as soon as those injuries happen, Dak's just not able to fill in the holes like a Tom Brady is, like Joe Burrow, like honestly, I'd say Justin Herbert, like Russell Wilson, like Patrick Mahomes. Those guys are able to fill in huge gaps in those teams' rosters. I just don't see that out of Dak. And their cap situation's rough too with that Zeke contract.
Part of the tricky thing is the commissioner makes his pick. You've got guards Tyron Smith and Travis Frederick. They've been all pros, but Ben, I think, is the kind of the key word because they're getting older.
Oh.
What you got?
Tyler Smith, tackle out of Tulsa.
Interesting.
So, yep, not a huge shock. I didn't have I don't think either one of us had him top
we did not.
First round in our mock. But going offensive lineman.
And that was the point I was
close to home.
Yeah, that was the point I was about to make is you've got guys that have been all pros, but they're getting older. A guy like Tyron Smith has been like injury plagued the last 6 seasons. So I think that was probably the right move. You definitely, because even if you think your front five is good, the injuries have been they're bad for any team, but it feels like Dallas has sometimes been hit especially hard by that. So, anyways, there's your pick for Dallas.
Solid pick.
Yeah, I think so. Yep, and Dallas probably could have done something really flashy, and it's probably best that they didn't, even though it's not a huge splash, but it's just taking care of something that you need. So, all right. Well, that does mean Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens are back on the clock after just a flurry of trades. Steven, thanks for rejoining us. We've had you on standby for what seems like forever now because of these trades. But what do you make of all this, of what Baltimore is doing right now?
Man, I got off and I had texts all over my phone.
Oh my gosh!
Marquise Brown to Arizona. And then, so in about 3 minutes there, Kyle Hamilton fell to Baltimore. Marquise Brown's gone. So pretty interesting post that. I think they probably would have liked Treylon Burks from Arkansas. I think that was probably their plan.
Yeah.
I think possibly may have gone awry for them. But interestingly enough, still some value here. I mean, I told you guys an hour ago, I really would have liked to have taken Jermaine Johnson at 14.
Right.
Here we are at 25.
Yeah.
Baltimore needs a pass rush very badly. I mentioned Odafe earlier.
Yep.
Tyus Bowser tore his Achilles against Pittsburgh last year in Week 18. So they need a pass rush. Who knows at this point? They may receiver George Pickens, Sky Moore. Maybe they reach for Mechie. They need a receiver now. With Hollywood Brown off to Arizona. So a lot of trust in Rashad Bateman, who they took 27 overall last year.
Yeah.
They shipped Mark Brown off. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm floored. I think at the end of the day, guys, they were not going to pay Marquise Brown, and they knew that. These wide receiver deals you're seeing. I mean, you're seeing it with all kinds of receivers. Adams, Hill. Obviously, Marquise is not in that range, but AJ Brown got paid $100 million tonight, right? I mean, it's just wild.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what Baltimore does here.
I still can't believe that.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. But these receivers are flying off the board. So
flying.
Maybe Pickens here. If I were to pick a receiver left on the board, it's probably who I'm taking. But Mechie is a good player. Obviously, coming off an injury. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. But
yeah. I mean, Jermaine Johnson seems like a fantastic value at this point. You just pointed out, Steven. I do think they probably traded up for Treylon Burks, and that just went awry with not going up quite high enough with that receiver run. We've kind of seen that back off a little bit here. I think there's just kind of a bit of a gap between those top 6 guys and then the next crop. Baltimore definitely could still address the wide receivers in the second, third round, looking at those picks later on. There is good depth. I think Jermaine Johnson really probably should be your guys' pick here. Address the pass rush. I think they got good value even in the Marquise Brown trade. So I think they did pretty well. I don't think he ever really fit Lamar stylistically as a wide receiver.
Yeah. And I think at times receivers, it's hard to fit Lamar a little bit. It takes some time,
Sure.
kind of fit his system. Obviously, unlike today's NFL, Baltimore wants to run the football. And so at times it's hard to get in rhythm, with Lamar. And that's always going to be something that, works. He's not great outside, the hash is there. That's why Mark Andrews is such a threat. He liked Hayden Hurst, even when he was there, running backs out of the backfield, he has a hard time driving the football down the field. So Marquise always struggled. And Treylon Burks, while he can go deep, is also a little bit more of a possession-oriented receiver, good on third down, like he was in Arkansas. So, I'm not sure. I'm shocked by the Marquise Brown. You're right, Johnny. I think there was some good value there, especially when you look at what Philadelphia gave up, Tennessee to get him. So I like AJ more than Marquise Brown, right? It looks like Arizona gave up substantially more. I mean, to imagine him worth a first-round pick is difficult to imagine. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
So showed some brilliance, a little bit off and on, but so inconsistent. Some of that's probably Lamar, but a lot of it is just a lot of drops. And so it'll be interesting. I'm these last since pick 10, it's just been absolutely wild.
Madness.
I feel like I blacked out for 15 picks, and now we're sitting 25 and Baltimore's on the clock right now. Jermaine Johnson's an interesting player to me because I think we brought this up earlier because, again, Jonny and I both had him forecasted, or mocked, I guess, Jonny 12, myself 13.
Right.
But you talk about a lot of these guys getting drafted from Georgia. What a tremendous defense. One of the best we've ever seen. But then you've got a guy like Jermaine Johnson who stood out pretty significantly on a Florida State team that has been noticeably bad the last few years. And he still had 14 sacks in 2021, 23 run stops. Like the fact that he's doing that, and again, I'm not going to say that I broke down a ton of tape on Jermaine Johnson coming into tonight, but I'm imagining he saw his fair share of double teams and got most of the offense's attention. And the fact that he still had that kind of output really impresses me. Apparently had a really good Senior Bowl as well. So that's why I think a lot of people, us included, had him in the top 15. And hopefully if that ends up being the pick, hopefully that's a decent consolation for missing out on Treylon Burks if that's how that actually, all shook out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see here. I mean, I think it's Jermaine Johnson. I've got to think he's high on their board right now. I mean, I think David Jeremiah or Daniel Jeremiah, had him like going 9th to Seattle. I mean, just very high, in certain mocks. I would agree. I didn't watch a lot of Florida State football.
No,
which probably
it's hard. It was hard.
Nobody has.
I think the last Florida State game I watched is when they beat Oregon, I think in the national title game several years ago. So, it'll be interesting to see here. The picks in, we'll see what they take here. Yeah,
you will most likely beat us to it. So feel free to announce what that pick is if that's the case.
It's not in yet. So
okay.
Well, while we wait, Steven, I'll go a little off radar here. Are you surprised Malik Willis is still available?
Good question.
That Kenny Pickett went first to Pittsburgh. That first quarterback off the board, it doesn't go till 20th, and that Malik Willis is still sitting there. And where do you think he might go at this point?
I am surprised Willis is still there. I didn't love either of the quarterbacks here. I didn't love Kenny Pickett. I don't love Malik Willis, but I think I like Willis more than Pickett. You think about floors and ceilings. I think we've seen a lot of Kenny Pickett. He's a little older, played in college for several years, some injuries. I would have taken a bit more of a flyer on Willis personally. And I thought that's what Detroit.
Oh, no. Sorry to interrupt you, Steven. Tyler Linderbaum. I hate that. I hate that.
I had him going 26 to Tennessee. That's so funny.
Why do you
know? Because I wanted him.
Okay. I was about to say, we lost Bozeman to Carolina. We have no center. We've all seen
that's a good pick.
Snap the ball in cold weather. I think that's a solid pick. I do understand that, Johnny. I was wondering why you guys I like Tyler Linderbaum.
I think it's a great pick for Baltimore. I think it's a great pick. I just hate it because I thought maybe we had gotten past the teams that would take a center, and he might slide to the Bengals at 31.
I thought maybe I was going to get in an argument with you here on this chat. Man, that's
we
great
welcome
value
that for sure.
That's
wow,
that's something.
No, he's outstanding. Best center in the draft. Clearly, he's the first one off the board, and just because he plays center pretty much only is the reason why he's still available. But I think it fits a need too. It's a good pick.
I think the question is here, guys. The Jets just traded up.
Oh wow!
To get this here, I wonder if this is Jermaine Johnson. What is it with Jermaine Johnson? Why is Jermaine Johnson still on the board?
Yeah,
man, there must be something. This is why
there's always one. There's always one guy.
There's one.
Every draft that just you're like, why is he sliding down? And sometimes it's proven correct, and sometimes it's sometimes you're like, how on earth did he keep sliding? He was great. Yeah. So it's I didn't hear any character issues in any of the interviews or anything like that. I didn't hear any off the field issues or anything like that from him. So a guy with that much production, I am very surprised that he's lasted this long. So hey, maybe the Jets are coming up and trying to come get him. Well,
yeah, maybe.
Well, the Jets have had a great draft. I mean, you could argue they got the best cornerback and the best receiver in the draft so far. They've had a tremendous draft.
Great draft. And they didn't have to go anywhere for either of them. No trading. They sat there. I think Gardner might be the best player in the draft in general. I think he easily could be at least the best defender in the draft. I mean, Nick Saban said we weren't throwing at him in that game.
That's crazy.
That says a lot about anyone. And yeah, I think Garrett Wilson, I know Drake London went ahead of him. I think he's the most well-rounded wide receiver right now. Serious potential.
Yeah, I love Garrett Wilson. I was sitting here earlier, and my wife is over here watching the draft with me, and she hears the name Sauce. I just love the name Sauce.
He earns that nickname too, right?
If God bless us with another son, maybe we'll name him Sauce.
There you go.
That would be great. We love the name.
Yeah.
So anyway, thought Willis would go 12 to Detroit, Aaron. There when they moved up, they went with Jameson Williams, which is great, added their receiver room. They needed a receiver, certainly. But to answer your question, I am surprised a little bit that Willis is still on the board. So we'll see what happens here as we got round one.
Yeah, and I mean, again, unless something changes, obviously New York just made a trade. I struggle a little bit to see any team that jumps in. Well, we'll see. But there's nothing, as the list is now, as the remaining picks in the draft are looking like now, there's not a team that would pick a quarterback. So it makes me think that Willis would maybe be picked tomorrow. To go back to the Jermaine Johnson point, I felt like going into this draft, there was a lot of potential of the top for the defensive ends, and that played itself out pretty well, right? Trayvon Walker first, Aiden Hutchinson second, and then Thibodeau to the Giants at 5. But I thought the consensus was like it was really top heavy. So if you didn't get one of those guys, you were going to wait a while. But I also thought Jermaine Johnson was kind of lumped in with all those guys. And yeah, you're right. Clearly, that's not exactly been the case. So I don't know if the Jets are in play. Going way back to our mock draft pick 4, I had Thibodeau to the Jets, and that's certainly a need for New York. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is it, guys. I mean, and to be fair, I've said that about 9 picks so far. But
hey, I have 2.
Trade back in the first round. I've got to think it's for Jermaine Johnson.
I would think so too.
Yeah,
Johnson. So,
and if you can say you met those needs of a pass rusher, a pass catcher, I mean, and a cover corner, an outstanding lockdown corner, you have to just say, hey, we did a great job in this draft. Outstanding. You're trying to make sure this is a year to see if Zach Wilson is actually the guy. Is he the guy? And you're giving him opportunities to do that with these excellent young players. And I'm still trying to think through right now, who's the team that might pull a Baltimore Ravens, when they traded back in to go get Lamar Jackson at 32? Is there a team last minute that hops up in there and says, hey, he's this low in the draft, we probably don't have to give up much to go get him?
Yeah. Any thoughts on your end? You two, obviously Minnesota was there at 12. Detroit came in. So Minnesota is that 32nd pick. Cousins is there. Obviously, there was a bit of an extension. Any thoughts on Willis to Minnesota? I wonder if they would, sneak in there at 32 and take it. I mean, they have other needs, certainly.
Yeah. I think the extension is what would make me say no. And it is Jermaine Johnson. So real quick note. So real quick note, I've got a really random stat. So general manager Joe Douglas of the New York Jets, 17 of his 19 draft picks have fit criteria. Either they're a captain in college or they have a strong rating on the relative athletic score. So basically, he really likes like athletic, flashy guys that exhibit leadership. And again, I've not done enough research on Jermaine Johnson to know for sure, but I do know the athletic criteria it makes sense here. So that could be very well why New York jumped into the first round again, their third first round pick to get Jermaine Johnson. It was still available at 26.
Yeah. That's
Jacksonville, guys.
Oh.
Jacksonville at 27.
All right.
Interesting. Jacksonville in there. That's
Jacksonville. Well, they're not coming for the quarterback, so
they're not coming for a quarterback. And they certainly shouldn't be coming for a receiver after what they paid Christian Kirk. It's his fault. All these things are happening. All these
Yeah.
Who would have thought it was Christian Kirk? It would be Christian Kirk's fault. All these contracts. Oh my goodness!
What's wild?
I'm a little surprised to see Tampa trade.
I'm too. Because I mean, we had guys that are still available and make sense, right? Like I had Daxton Hill, Michigan safety, being drafted here. Johnny, you had Devin Lloyd, Utah linebacker.
Devin Lloyd.
Which both of those picks just feel like a Tampa Bay pick, and maybe they're looking at this draft and thinking, "Hey, we can make this pick wherever." I'm assuming. Jacksonville has the I know for sure Jacksonville does have the first pick of the second round. They probably don't anymore. My guess is that's where Tampa Bay traded back to. We'll see. But very interesting. Jermaine Johnson finally off the board here.
My assumption still is this is probably another defensive pick for Jacksonville, though. That defense is really poor.
Yeah.
And they just lost Miles Jack, who is like one of the last members of that really, really good Jacksonville defense. And so maybe we're looking at a Devin Lloyd right now. Maybe we're looking at a Nakobe Dean from Georgia, Daxton Hill at safety. I would really be surprised if we're not looking at one of those. Those are my top guys left off the defense, but we could be, we're always in for some surprises at this point in the draft too. And guys who we think might be second rounders sneak into the back end here too. Don't be surprised if we see another corner off the board instead, like a Kyler Gordon from Washington. There's a lot of options.
Yeah. I would agree. I think Jacksonville definitely, that defense is very, very bad. I think needs some serious reinforcements on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, agreed.
And they put a lot of money on the offensive side of the ball. So, I think it's time to look defensively here. For sure. So who are the Bengals going to take, Johnny?
At this point, I'm not loving a lot of the options here. You could honestly still go Booth.
Yeah, I was going to say
I wouldn't mind. Booth is probably who I would want right now. Just looking at my big board, Clemson's corner. You can never have too many corners, especially in the AFC anymore. They've signed a bunch of their guys to kind of run it back in the secondary from last year, but a lot of one-year deals. You'd love to get a young guy in there like Booth, kind of train him up, get him ready. So next year, you might let an Eli Apple off his one-year deal walk. So you have his replacement already in the room.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind that pick at all. This is where I'm really grateful. The Bengals invested a lot in that offensive line and free agency. This isn't a desperation pick at 31 to reach for an offensive lineman that really doesn't fit there. Go get one of the best players, I think, on the board left. Hopefully Booth is still there. He might be gone, though. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw one of these other teams take him beforehand. So Booth would be my guy at this point.
Going back to the Jags, here's the needs that I top five, because again, this is a very not good team. So really the needs are everywhere except probably quarterback. But I had defensive end, wide receiver, center, cornerback, and inside linebacker. Defensive end, I'm assuming they're not going to double up. They obviously picked Trayvon Walker with the first pick. Wide receiver, still possible, but we've seen a decent amount of attrition at that spot. Center, probably gone because really Linderbaum is probably the only first-round center talent. Cornerback, obviously still in play, and then linebacker. Like I still am looking at Nakobe Dean, who I had 15th to Philadelphia. He's still hanging around. Again, I think Devin Lloyd's got tremendous upside. I really like Devin Lloyd. And I think, again, if he's in the right situation, he could do really well. I'm not sure Jacksonville is a good situation, but
what about offensive line, though? We haven't talked about offensive line for him. That's a bad offensive line. If you believe in Trevor Lawrence, you want to make sure that he's healthy. If we're looking at the best guys left on the O-line, we're looking at Darian Kennard from Kentucky. We're looking at Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan. Mm-hmm. If you want to reach a little bit, you got Jackson Kirkland from Washington. Those are probably the guys you're looking at. I don't know. Like, if you feel like it's a good value there, you traded up for someone specific, though, who you didn't think would be there. So maybe I'd have a hard time almost believing it's a linebacker. We've only seen one linebacker go so far. So I don't think you would feel the need to trade up for a linebacker at this point. So maybe we're looking at one of those offensive linemen.
That's true. If you're hanging out and chat with us, by the way, I just want to say thanks again for doing that. There's probably a good chance, too, that your team is done drafting in the first round, or at least it appears that way. So if you want to, put in a grade for your team in chat, and we can talk about that. We can get some early grades out. I know Johnny's going to have his full list after all 3 days are complete. But if you've got like just a hot take grade first round for your team, let us know. We'll love to hear about it. So, yeah. And all right, looks like Jaguars pick is in. You can see best available. It's showing up for Mel Kiper, some of the same guys you said. But again, those linebackers are there. Daxton Hill's there. Obviously, guys like Malik Willis. And that's not going to happen in Jacksonville. And I don't know. No. I still don't think it's going to happen in the first round. We'll see. Maybe a team will surprise me, Johnny, like you mentioned. Like we'll have a Baltimore repeat with that like 32nd pick or something weird. But I don't know.
I'm just trying to think the teams that were drafting at the high end of the first round that will be there in the second.
Right.
Houston seems content with Davis Mills. Jacksonville obviously isn't in line for that. Is Detroit okay with Jared Goff for now?
I would say
they
yes.
Already want to look at the heir apparent. They seem just fine.
I still think New Orleans could come back into play.
Sure.
They need to find something. I mean, obviously they're going to go into Jameis Winston here. I feel like coming back into the first round, or can they wait until tomorrow to grab Malik Willis? I guess we'll wait and see. But that's a team there I'm thinking to Seattle. I really thought Seattle may make a push for Baker Mayfield. That obviously didn't happen tonight. Mm-hmm. But there's quarterback needy teams here still.
Maybe Carolina.
Maybe Carolina.
I had them originally taking them at 6. Clearly that's way, way off. That ship has sailed a long time ago. But heck, maybe they might get Malik Willis still, even tomorrow, like you said, but maybe they trade up and go get him.
Guys, a team that we haven't talked about enough tonight, and Josh Burris gives his grade for the Browns. He says A+, did not trade up to reach for anybody that they didn't need, like old Browns teams of the past, and then says, knock on wood, 5 picks left. That's a team that a couple of people had questions on, and we just in the chaos of as we're getting this pick in. What do we think about the Browns? Like they're draft playing here, because obviously he gave up a first round pick to among more picks than just that to Houston. But we can get this pick and then kind of talk about the Browns, because that's a team that we haven't mentioned that is not drafting in the first round, but certainly
Devin Lloyd is the pick.
All right,
so I actually do get one right.
You did.
It's been a long time, so I did get that one right.
6-2 so in Johnny's favor.
Finally get another one right there.
Created that linebacker. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting. Being only the second linebacker off the board at this point is a little interesting to me. I thought Nakobe Dean would go ahead of him from Georgia.
I did too.
I
Yeah, I love Nakobe Dean. I loved everyone in that Georgia defense, though. I mean, you can convince me all those Georgia guys playing in the first round tonight, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love. When I'm looking at linebackers and safeties, I'm looking at the guys who are those signal callers, though. One of the biggest steals in the draft, I think, in the most recent years is Jordan Fuller going to the Rams. And I know he got hurt tearing his Achilles right before the Super Bowl this year, and they were bailed out, being able to go reach back into retirement for their guy. But Jordan Fuller, you're getting him in I believe the 5th round. And, he's in that fantastic 19 Ohio State defense. And he's the last guy taken from that secondary. And he's the signal caller. And he might be a step slower technically than Arnett or Okuda or some of those other guys on defense. But he's never making a wrong step. And I love looking at those guys who are the signal callers, who are just smart ball players, who are not only able to organize themselves on the field, but everybody else. I think Nakobe Dean is that guy. So I'm a little surprised he's not gone. I think whoever gets him at this point is getting a steal.
Yeah, John,
whoever gets
he's going to New England, don't you? At 29.
Oh,
that's
my gosh.
Probably.
Yeah, you're
probably.
right. You're right.
I had him going to New England originally, actually, at 21.
Loves those inside linebackers. That's exactly where he's going.
Yeah, you're right.
That I had him going to New England at 21 because I'm like, this is literally a signal caller. Saban loves getting those Alabama, Georgia, LSU guys I'm sure that's where he's going because Green Bay already took a linebacker, so they're not taking him.
Yeah. And Green Bay too. You gotta wonder too. I mean, they have a bit of a hole, I would say. I was a little surprised by the Quay Walker pick that they took earlier tonight. I think they need a receiver as well. I'm not saying George picked high, but I mean, you're thinking what? Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard. They got rid of Marquez Valdez.
Randall Cobb, who's like 40 at this point. Yeah.
I mean, they need a receiver badly.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
George Pickens.
I had them taking Treylon Burks here just to show you that, again, I'm kind of generally aware of what's happening, but clearly not in tune enough to know where all these players are actually going. But yeah, I mean, I had a wide receiver at Green Bay. I felt like if they, have 2 first-round draft picks, that this would finally be the year they actually take a wide receiver in the first round to help their quarterback. What a mess.
George Pickens seems to be the guy here for me.
I would agree.
If I'm Green Bay,
I would agree.
If I'm Green Bay, I would have George Pickens here. The only other wide receivers that are really even in play that you could consider is David Bell out of Purdue. Really good wide receiver, really productive in that offense. A lot of wide receivers are, but he's excellent. And then Christian Watson from North Dakota State. North Dakota State always turns out a few good, really, really solid NFL products. So don't sniff your nose at the FCS program there. North Dakota State always has some really, really good ball players. Those are kind of the only 3 wide receivers that are in play here. Of course, we say those type of things, and then there will be a 4th guy who will hop in here that we haven't even talked about today. So
Sky Moore, I'm telling you, man, Sky Moore, Western Michigan.
You have kept mentioning him, Aaron, so I'll give you credit.
Okay. Here's why I keep bringing that up. I had him 32 going to Detroit because I'm like, you know what? The most Detroit thing is ever to draft a Michigan guy number 2 and then draft another Michigan guy at 32. That's like the most Detroit thing ever. So it was partially that. I'll be honest, but I do think. I mean, he's a little guy, but he's a ball player. So we'll see. Maybe not top first round pick, but we'll see. But you're right. Packers here at 28. The pick is in for them. We're waiting to hear what the Green Bay Packers will do. And then, of course, New England is next after trading pick 21 to Kansas City. It's at least how I've got it. Green Bay, New England, Kansas City. There's your next 3. Then Cincinnati, and then Minnesota. So there's your rounding out. We're 5 picks away from closing out this first round. And what a first round it has been. What a first round.
It's been some wild deals. I do have to say, I probably told 5 different people today. They're like, oh, do you see like any trades happening? And I'm like, not that many, probably not. Most of it, there's not a quarterback, so there probably won't be that many trades. I'm like, if there's a trade, it'll probably be revolving around Deebo Samuel. So the 49ers can get a first round pick this year and more. It doesn't look like Deebo's going anywhere at this point. It looks like he's probably staying put in San Francisco for this year. I would be really surprised if the 49ers traded him after tonight. You want to get those assets immediately. You don't want to have to wait a year to use your draft pick. So I think Deebo's probably staying in San Francisco. I'm really shocked by A.J. Brown getting moved to Philly. That I did not see that happening tonight. So now Tennessee basically replaced him, but with Treylon Burks. So that Minnesota Vikings model of moving on from your guy immediately after trading him with the pick you got.
Yeah.
But that one shocked me a little bit.
Yeah. This is going back like 20 minutes ago. I'm just kind of catching up on Twitter and seeing what people are saying. Lamar Jackson said WTF like 20 minutes ago, I think, along with everybody. So
the Lindenbaum decision there. I think he expected receiver, but there wasn't very many receivers left for them to take.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Right. And here's the I'll love this pick. Oh, okay. He's taking a second. Would you guys like some NBA score updates?
Oh, yes, please.
While we wait.
Yes.
Okay, I thought I'd get some of these in.
Yeah.
So we have some series winners.
Okay.
76ers taking out the Raptors in pretty
Convincing.
I mean, convincing. Yeah, convincing is the right word.
On the road?
Yeah, good job. So you didn't even have Thibault playing tonight because he can't play in Toronto. So good for the 76ers and Doc Rivers. That series looked like it was starting to slip away from him there. So still no team has come back from a 3-0 deficit. Phoenix closed out New Orleans. Now that game went down to the wire, 115-109. New Orleans actually led most of the way there. So
was Devin Booker back tonight? I forgot to look.
No. Chris Paul went 14 for 14 though tonight, so that's literally the reason they won. He went berserk. So there you go with Chris Paul just putting the young team on his back and saying we're going to the next round, guys. So that'll be an interesting next matchup with them. They will get the winner of Mavericks Jazz, who are playing right now. They're at half. Jazz are up 12. So we'll see with Dallas up 3-2. That might be the only series that goes 7.
Interesting. All right. Looks like Adele's back at the podium there. 28th pick coming in. Down to the final 5. I feel like this, for whatever reason,
Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia.
Yeah.
Leave it to the Packers, man. Leave it to the
Packers.
First-round picks,
man. Oh.
And no wide receivers. Does this not just almost feel personal? It feels almost personal.
Well, and here's the situation, right? I think they probably had every intention of taking a wide receiver this in the first round. I'm projecting, obviously. And probably we're looking at 28 thinking someone like Treylon Burks would be available, or maybe not even him. Just I think they're probably to a point where like taking a wide receiver here felt like reaching for a wide receiver that maybe they can get sometime else, but oh my gosh, you can't. I mean,
I love it. It's so I know it. Maybe it's not true, but it feels petty as heck.
It does.
I love it. I mean, it's almost feels like the Packers are antagonizing and poking right back at Aaron Rodgers. I can't say he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I am a little surprised that neither pick. I mean, they clearly love the Georgia defensive players with Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. I can't blame them for that. But still surprised.
Speaking of Georgia defensive players, that Patriots pick was in so fast. That's been in for 2 minutes already. Right after they said Patriots in, Nakobe Dean is ready to go to New England.
Yeah. He's gone.
And
You're
that,
absolutely
guys,
right.
I'm losing count. Is that 5 or 6 Georgia defensive players? He will be 6, right? Am I right?
Wow. Wyatt, Walker. Let me see here. Let me count them up.
Yeah.
This will take
we'll
a
get the
second.
official tally. That's crazy. That's crazy. 6 defensive players in 1 first round. Which
no, it's just 4. Aaron.
It's just 4. Okay, well, it might as well be 6. I don't even care anymore.
It's just 4. Wait till Nakobe Dean gets selected. That'll be 5.
Yeah.
So that'll be 5 with Nakobe Dean. So you thought Darian Kendrick might slip into the first round too. So there's still the opportunity there. I think. Let me count again. Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, Quay Walker, and then Devontae Wyatt. So it is just 4 right now.
Okay.
By the end of the draft, though, don't be surprised if you see like 7, 8, 9 Georgia defensive players drafted.
That's insane
overall. So that'll.
That honestly reminds me of like the Miami Hurricane teams of like 2001, 2002, when they basically had their entire team drafted it's kind of a throwback to that.
You have the
a little bit.
You have the backups getting drafted.
Oh yeah,
that barely even saw the field.
I mean, the number of guys that Miami cranked out through like 01 and 02, and obviously I'm a little bit more in tune to this as an Ohio State fan. That was kind of my first Ohio State memory was way back when. But I mean, the number of players that they had drafted just actually crazy. All right, Johnny, we are 2 picks away from your Bengals. By the way, we're keeping an eye on that.
Hey, Booth is still there.
He's
still there right now. I think Nakobe Dean's going here to New England. I think Steven's absolutely right. And then I still have a chance to be right with Daxton Hill with Kansas City.
Yep.
Remember, Tyrann Mathieu is gone. So they do need a replacement at safety. Yeah. I really do think there's a strong chance that I'm right there with Daxton Hill from Michigan, their safety going there.
Not taking,
and if that's
they just took McDuffie, so they're not taking Booth too.
I hope they do. They go all in on the secondary. Although that's not necessarily good for my Bengals if they go that big on secondary. But that's true, though. That is true. That's true that maybe it's Pickens then. Pickens could be the pick there at 30. We keep mentioning him. The Kansas City still needs another wide receiver, really. Their room's fine. But they could use another wide receiver still. They've even been pretty public with wanting another wide receiver and exploring trade options with those guys. They traded Tyreek Hill, and personally, I think it was a wonderful trade for Kansas City. You can't pay everyone, and they got an incredible return, huge haul from Miami for Tyreek Hill. And, Tyreek's a great wide receiver, and I don't want to, lessen his impact. But his number one quality is speed. And those guys don't always age well. And so with that, I think they got a great haul for him to go find his replacement. Maybe that's Pickens. They do like their Georgia receivers. So with McCole Hardman. So we'll see if that's the case. I think they're ESPN and the NFL is probably stalling right now with this pick because the Patriots certainly knew who they wanted immediately here. Well, any thoughts on if it's not Nakobe Dean? I think
it will be because of everything you guys have been saying. It just is. It's because of the way it is. It will be Nakobe Dean. But New England was 25th in defending the run last season in 2021.
Well, 25th. There you go.
And
get a linebacker.
Linebacker makes a ton of sense just to fit that role. It's just weird to think of New England like 25th at anything, really. So it feels like Bill Belichick and company, they would see something like that and just he just kind of furrow his brow even more than it already is probably currently. Also, his dog is drafting. Let's keep that in mind. Definitely the dog's still drafting here.
Never going to live that down.
Yep.
No.
I mean, to answer your question, Johnny, it would still be defense somewhere. I've got needs like defensively, I've got cornerback, and then all like inside and outside linebackers, which again makes me think Nakobe Dean has kind of fallen in their laps.
If they take Booth, I'm gonna be ticked.
Yeah, quarterback's interesting because there's no Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson anymore. But
guys, we're wrong.
Don't be surprised.
Cole Strange, guard, Chattanooga.
Interesting.
As soon as we make an absolute, we know we're wrong. So that's.
And that the Patriots have absolutely fleeced the entire league by picking an FCS player. You already know.
Probably.
They did lose both Ted Karras and Shaq Mason. Both were starting guards, both no longer on the team. So that obviously fills the need. So that also makes sense. So interesting. But yes, good on us for guaranteeing. Anytime Johnny or I guarantee anything, it's destined. The Celtics, you're welcome. We are the reason. Yeah, we are the reason the Celtics swept the Nets 4-0. We are the reason.
Again, glad to be the reason that the Nets got swept.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm perfectly fine with that. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Guys, I had a great time with you both. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
I am nearing the end of my April 28th here. So
yes, absolutely.
Good to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around extra and covering all these picks. Always good to have you on. And again, I will wish you the best luck for your team next year since Johnny will.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, anytime.
I can honestly say I hope the Cincinnati pick at 31 is a major bust. I'll leave with
It's a great way to. That's a great way to leave it. Appreciate it. Thanks. That's funny. All right, we do only have 3 picks left in the draft. Kansas City, the pick is in at 30. Then your Bengals at 31. Then we're wrapping the night up, we think,
This
with
is the
Minnesota.
last pick that I could even potentially be right on.
I've got Sky Moore. I've got
already.
the Vikings picking Sky Moore. That's my only hope.
I have Kansas City taking Daxton Hill here at 30. They don't. They have Carl Fanatis, which is a great pick.
That's a really
that
good
is
pick.
a fantastic pick for Kansas City. I'm shocked he's down here all the way at 30. I had him going at 23. I thought I might even be lowballing him there with just being an edge rusher. Surprised he's still there. Great pick for Kansas City. They do need to get more pressure on the quarterback. He's your answer there. It's a really, really solid pick for Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Their biggest needs coming in to me was wide receiver, defensive end. Again, I know it's shifted and I don't know the exact number, but they came in with 12 draft picks. And so again, my stuff's all old, so I don't know, but a reminder, we talked about that Tyreek.
Immediately.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. Just real quick, I want to touch on that Tyreek Hill. We mentioned it. The trade details were that he goes to Miami, and that's why the Kansas City Chiefs have as many draft picks, because they got this year's first, second, and fourth round picks in 2022, as well as fourth and sixth round picks in 2023. And I still think Kansas City is certainly in the wide receiver market later on in the draft. They did obviously add Juju Smith-Schuster. They added Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So I don't know, Johnny, look at your draft board, see if there's anyone with 2 last names. And that's probably who, I think it's now a requirement that Kansas City picks a wide receiver with 2 last names. It's just the way it is. So, all right, Johnny, who do you want? Cincinnati's on the clock. Who do you want?
Booth. Give me Booth. That's Andrew Booth Jr., Clemson cornerback. That's who I want. If you don't take him, I guess I would be okay. I guess I would be okay with Kirkland at offensive line, although I think it's a little bit of a reach at this point. That's not my preference. If they go safety, it would be Jaquan Brisker, probably from Penn State. It's not a big enough need yet. I know Jesse Bates is franchise tagged. I'd like you guys just to get a deal done for him. Darion Kendrick, defensive back, Georgia, could be an option. Roger McCreary, Auburn corner. But I just like Andrew Booth.
Yeah.
Just give me
the best
corner,
available
I think,
at this point
on the board.
Yeah.
I think he's really the best available. Most of the guys have been cleaned up already that have kind of slid down. Carl Fanatis is one of those last guys that was kind of like, oh man, I really thought he'd go earlier, and he's not. And so that's really who I want at this point. Also, just side note, really looks like Malik Willis is going to have to wait till tomorrow. So
wow,
I'm really
quarterback in the first round. Man,
really surprised by that. Only one quarterback, and went number 20. Team showed a lot of restraint
in quarterbacks. Wide receivers, meh.
No. Well, and we were right when we said after Treylon Burks went, we've completely backed off.
Yeah, right.
So there's clearly the teams do view it, just as was reported, that there's a huge gap really between those top 6 wide receivers and the next crop. Don't be surprised if tomorrow, early on, we see a bunch of wide receivers go again.
Yeah.
For those teams who didn't get one in the first round, they might just be waiting for the next crop at a better value. And just not wanting to use those first round picks for them. So they've been excellent. Excellent. The Bengals, I'm even more upset with Linderbaum being gone, knowing that he's a Raven.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Well, that's my question, because obviously the need was clearly offensive line, and the Bengals have done well to address that in the offseason through free agency, through trades or whatever. Does that make you lean towards any offensive lineman right now, or just because of the way it's been drafted, like Andrew Booth is there, he's the best available, just get it over with?
Andrew Booth's the best guy. Honestly, if Kansas City hadn't taken George Karlaftis, I would have loved that pick for the Bengals. Get another edge rusher. That would have been a great pick for the Bengals too at 31. So I wouldn't have blinked at that one. That one would have been just fine for the Bengals. Biggest needs really for the Bengals is still offensive line, specifically center in my mind, corner. You really need another corner. You really need another edge rusher. Those are your three main needs. Are there some other areas like you'd like to, shore up the linebacking core? Of course, that would be great. Heck, I mean, to that point, if Nakobe Dean is there, I don't love typically taking a linebacker in the first round. I would not be upset taking Nakobe Dean. I don't think that's the pick, but and that's not the biggest need. But when you're picking 31, sometimes you just take the best player there. And so Nakobe Dean would be a reasonable pick.
You think Minnesota takes a swing at Nakobe Dean next 32nd? Or Tampa Bay?
Minnesota does need help at 32 with linebacking. Yeah. So that could be an option for them. Daxton Hill could be an option for them still as well.
I think my bet, if I had to bet, which means that it's not going to be correct, is that Tampa Bay takes, because that's what I originally had. I had Tampa Bay in the first round taking Daxton Hill. So maybe they grab him at 33rd, first pick tomorrow.
That would make sense. And they're really milking this Bengals pick. Shoot.
Yeah, they are. Got to get all the advertisements that they weren't able to run tonight during all the trades since it's been so fast.
The last three picks, they are milking, guys. Yeah, they are dragging them out as much as they can. So, we'll see here.
Yeah, I do want to take a second again just to thank everyone that's, first of all, thank our guests that have been here with us. I appreciate all of you guys jumping on, talking about your teams. It's always good to just get a fan's perspective of everything that's going on. Because obviously I can sit here and try to imagine what, being a Ravens fan is during a trade like we saw with, Marquise Brown being traded. But it's another thing to get to see that and get to talk to people about that. So I just want to thank everyone that jumped on. I want to thank you for watching. It's been a blast as always. Appreciate the support. If you haven't already, and if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. If you've not, we've got a lot more sports content on the way, some videos in the making. So.
And if we're being honest, if you're Baltimore, even though I think that was a bit of a botched trade originally, you got the best safety in the draft. You got the best center in the draft. I don't think you can be too upset with how that went. Now you have a glaring hole at wide receiver after Rashad Bateman. Yeah. And Mark Andrews, of course, is a great receiving tight end. But gosh, who do you have after, after those two catching the ball? So that's certainly a need that Baltimore, I'm sure, will try to address later in this draft.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. And we're apparently just chilling on this.
We are really chilling.
We're really chilling, but I appreciate it though. Appreciate it.
Did you guys talk about Cleveland since they didn't have any picks?
We never really got to that. I brought it up and then we just had other stuff going on. So, I mean, I don't know what there's to say. I guess to Josh Burse's point, A+, they did not trade up unnecessarily or,
really don't need to.
Yeah, they really don't need to. So yeah, you're probably right. That is probably an A+. What do we got, Johnny?
Bengals, Daxton Hill, safety, okay. Michigan. I was afraid of that.
Wow, look at both of our teams, Johnny, drafting Michigan guys. How about that?
I didn't want that.
I'm sorry.
They're not re-signing Jesse Bates, everybody. That is confirmation. They are not re-signing Jesse Bates. He will be gone after the franchise tag this year. That is basically set now. They will not be drafting. They will not be re-signing Jesse Bates. Ugh, I hate that. I hate that. We need a corner.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, Michael Hess was going back to the Malik Willis thing real quick. He was like, something must have happened. Like the fact that he was not picked in the first round, possible. Or teams just used all their resources to grab those wide receivers in the middle of the draft.
I feel like teams just didn't panic by quarterbacks, and they normally do. So I'm kind of almost surprised that we didn't have a panic buy from someone.
Yeah. I agree. So
the Steelers sitting there at 20, that's not a panic buy. You sat right where you were and you took Kenny Pickett. That's fine at 20. I'm very surprised though that nobody took a shot at Malik Willis. And honestly, he's probably going to get drafted closer to where he should be.
Sure.
Just in the overall,
in a normal year. Yeah, sure.
If we're looking at best available, heck, I hope Daxton plays really, really well for the Bengals. It's hard because it's writing on the wall for Jesse Bates, who's been so good for the Bengals. And it's kind of hard to get excited about a player that you don't think is going to contribute this season because he really won't. With Von Bell and Jesse Bates on the field, Daxton's just not going to get a lot of playing time. There's always injuries and there's always you get to have a little bit of a revolving door there, but I just don't expect him to see the field. And so for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations for the season, that is a little frustrating to see them go in that direction and not go for someone who's going to immediately help the team. And Daxton is going to be a cheaper option than Jesse going forward and help in some cap space when the Bengals have to pay Joe Burrow, but would have really liked for them to go best available with Booth or with not Devin Lloyd, I'm sorry, or with Nakobe Dean. Yeah. That would have been my preference for sure.
Johnny, my question to you, and this is probably the most important question I've asked all night. If the Vikings draft Sky Moore, who is the only person I have a chance to get a point with, do I get 5 points in the win if Minnesota drafts Sky Moore?
No.
Okay, I thought I'd ask. Okay,
absolutely.
How about this question? I'm curious. So obviously, not a huge surprise, but no running backs taken in the first round. I feel like that's not something we've talked about a lot. I think I would really like some of the running backs in this class. You've got a guy like Breece Hall, Iowa State. I think and you had him in your first round. He's kind of expected to go first, but you've got, some good running backs, I think.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker obviously
Michigan
kind of jumps out to you a
State.
little bit. Yeah. You've got, from Notre Dame, I'm blanking on his name. You might have to help me. Dang, I can't think of his name. Notre Dame running back. Someone can help me out with that. But anyways, is there a running back that jumps out to you that you think is just going to have success in the NFL? And I know that's very based on what team they go, but is there any one, and maybe it is Breece Hall for you because you did have him in your first round, that you think could have some NFL success?
Yeah. And Breece Hall was more fit Buffalo. As soon as Buffalo traded up, I really didn't believe in that pick anymore because it just wasn't necessary. It wasn't a necessary trade up to go get him. So I think if a running back went to Buffalo, I think they'd have a chance at real success.
32nd pick.
It's the 32nd pick. Real success there. I think I really like Breece. Now you have to go to the right team, of course, and anymore though, teams are really looking at that shared back workload, and I think that's more effective. It prevents injuries for both your players. It prevents reliance because running backs are just made to get dinged up.
Think about the Titans.
One of them
Henry
get dinged up, you have your second. And who stepped up for when Derrick Henry got hurt. Who's that Texas running back that was just outstanding for them when he got to run the ball against the Bengals? I mean, he gave the Bengals problems. Honestly, you started to feel like, why do you keep putting Derrick Henry in? Like, feed your hot hand here. And that sounds like that doesn't make any sense at face value, but that would have been really good and effective probably for them to keep feeding the hot hand and keep it away from Derrick Henry. And so unless it's someone on that level of Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, you really want two backs. And even in those cases, both guys have gotten hurt. You need backup running backs. So I think that's why people are looking like more running backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, because you can still get good value there.
Yeah. All right, Johnny.
Okay, and there's another Georgia player, Lewis Seen, safety Georgia, and that he'll be the last guy to go there. And so that'll be your 5th Georgia defensive player. He is off the board. He is gone. That is the last pick of the first round, but that's 5 Georgia defensive players in the first round. That's a ton.
If you would have told me 5 got drafted and Nakobe Dean's not on that list,
surprising.
That's really surprising. Yeah.
I didn't because I didn't have Devontae Wyatt going in the first round or Quay Walker. Yeah. I'm not shocked. I didn't have Lewis Seen, but that's not surprising. Nakobe Dean not going is a little surprising, despite him playing linebacker. That's still surprising.
Yeah. Interesting. Johnny, we did it. 32 picks. We've done it. And I just want to thank you guys all for being here. That's where we're going to wrap it up. So we'll pick it up. Well, we won't because we're done. we've fulfilled our streaming obligation. But yeah, guys, second and third rounds. You got that tomorrow. I believe that starts 7 p.m. and then things get kicked off rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. So that's kind of the schedule, the lineup. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate there's so many of you guys that stopped by. So really appreciate that. Always good hearing from you guys. Appreciate our guests. Yeah, means a lot. So we'll catch you guys. Let me think. We'll catch you guys on Monday. So if you enjoy this kind of thing, we do stream our podcast every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We do stream it right here on this YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when that happens. And we do the same thing. The idea is that we get your feedback as we talk about sports and do something that we love, which is talking about sports. So appreciate it, Jonny. Thanks as always. Appreciate your work. Congratulations on your win again. We never really decided what the wager is, so maybe we'll just double. I owe you 2 things of canned Gatorade, and I'll put an Amazon order by the end of the week so I don't forget about it again. But
okay,
yeah,
sounds good. And I'm still very intrigued. I still love day 2 of the draft. Where's Malik Willis going? Yep. There's still a ton of great value. Second day is still a chance to get a lot of starters, day 1 starters. So I'm still going to be totally plugged in tomorrow to the draft.
And we'll be posting stuff on Twitter. So make sure we've got all the social medias down below. So make sure you follow us there. To we may not be streaming, but we're as Jonny said, we're still very much paying attention. I think you're right, because Malik Willis in the second round, I think that pushes everybody else down too. So maybe a guy like Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral, who you thought were for sure second round picks, are they now third round picks? We'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow. So, all right, for myself, for Jonny, I think that wraps us up. We'll see you guys next